Welcome, everybody, to the PodAskew Podcast. My name is CJ, and with me is my hetero life mate, Rico.
Yo, everybody. How are you today?
All right, Rico. What's going on, brother?
Oh, God. You don't even really want to get started, dude.
That good?
Oh, my dude. I mean, honestly, like, I'm down to talk about it, but I don't want to deviate from the special guest we have today.
You mentioned we have a special guest today, Rico. Why don't you let everyone know who's here with us?
The one, the only, Stephanie.
Hi,
Hello,
Steph.
everyone.
How are you, baby?
I'm doing okay. Getting over being sick. Still have a cough, but mostly look good. Hi, guys. How are you, CJ?
I'm good. It's been a long weekend, but good.
Yeah, I can understand that.
All right.
So as we all know, originally this was sort of an homage and inspiration to Kevin Smith and his podcast. So that brought me and CJ together.
Yep.
And Steph and I got together through not Kevin Smith, but we figured a really good first conversation would be to discuss if Kevin Smith influenced her and how she feels about him on the whole, not his whole, but just on the whole, as well as his films, and if CJ and I are talking about Kevin and the whole gang, if it bothers her incessantly or if she is enjoying it.
And let's just be real. We're going to deep dive the PodAskewverse. Like, there's things we've not talked about in that world. And being that that's the inspiration for our show and our name, maybe we should talk about it.
Imagine that.
Yeah, right?
So CJ, why don't you start with your introduction to Kevin Smith, and then I will go into mine and Stephanie go next.
Okay. Well, introduction would probably be Clerks, but my really becoming aware of him would be Dogma, honestly. Like you, I watched his movies out of order. Not that you watched his, but you tend to watch everything out of order. So I figured that, it's the same idea. So I think if I recall, I saw Clerks, then Dogma, then I went back and got Mallrats, Chasing Amy, and then by that point caught up. So I was on board when Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back came out. And then you move on into the non-Askewverse movies. Well, Clerks too, but then you got Zack and Miri and all Tusk and Yoga Hosers and Red State and all that stuff.
The True North trilogy.
True North trilogy, yeah. Which Moose Jaws got greenlit, so that's happening. I'm curious to see how that's going to pan out.
And Kevin finally released a photo of him in makeup not makeup, but like hair extensions as Silent Bob.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, like everyone's like Skinny Bob.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, and is that for the reboot or for Moose Jaws? Because they're doing reboot first.
For the reboot, because it said hashtag Bob reboot.
Okay. My real love, though, my falling into the Kevin Smith world came from podcasts. When he started, because he's been doing Smodcast now for like 11 years, I think. And I've only been familiar with podcasts for the last, 6. So he'd already been in it for a while when I got involved. But I was at work. Someone introduced me to the concept of podcasts because they were listening to them while we worked. Because in the job I had previously, you couldn't listen to earbuds while you were working. And now I'm in a position where I could. So I asked him I had been listening to music, and as much as I love music, because it is my first love, 8 hours of Metallica-style music in my ears, it starts to, grate on the brain. So I asked him what he was listening to, and he said podcast, because I noticed he was laughing a lot throughout the day. And he told me which ones he's listening to, which weren't Kevin Smith ones, and some of the ones I do listen to now, like Joe Rogan, for example. But I just went onto iTunes into the podcast and started just looking through, and I saw that Kev had one, and being a fan of his movies, I was like, all right, well, I'll check one out. And I forget which one I started with. It was either Smodcast or Fat Man on Batman. It might have even been Jay and Silent Bob's Get Old, just because I figured Jay and Bob, which I also thought would be interesting because, as he says now on a lot of the Get Old episodes, it's not them, it's Jay and Bob, because it would be Jay talking the whole damn episode and Bob not saying a word, or Kev not saying a word. But it drew me in, and I just started falling down the rabbit hole that it is the Smodcast universe, and now I listen to all of them all the time. Even the ones that he's not on, like Tell 'em Steve Dave and Last Week on Earth with Ben Glebe, shows like that. So that's where I'm at with Kev, and that made me go back and appreciate his movies. So that's basically where how I got into Kev Smith is where I'm at, and to follow the gospel of Kev. How about you, Rico? Where did you pick it up? Where did you go? All that stuff.
I originally was very young. I was 10 years old when my mother, of all people, took me to see Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Kev would say you have a bad mother.
I have the greatest mother for the worst reasons, and the worst mother for the greatest. All
right.
But someone had shown her probably like Dogma or Clerks or something. But then I had no history. I had no background of Kevin Smith or Jay and Bob or anything like that. So she took me to see Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, which we all joke, Steph, CJ, and all my friends joke that I watched it out of order. But this wasn't like, I didn't intend to do this. It was just like,
right.
Just like every other fucking movie series, I'm watching shit out of order. It's usually because someone introduces something to me that I had never seen. And then I watch them either in order or like periodically other people are like, oh, you saw that one? You should watch this one. And then I'm like, oh, that's also out of order. But Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back was probably the best introduction for me at that age, because Jay and Bob Strike Back is in some ways a glorified kids movie. Like, it's very kiddie as well as very profane. And it wasn't like my mom was. I was just saying, to put it. Like,
we love doing that. To put it in the Kev's terms, it's a joke you can tell you. It's a joke you can tell your mom.
It is a joke. I mean, it was even weirder. It was a joke I was sharing with my mom. Like, that was the weirdest thing, was like, I'm laughing at blowjob jokes with my mother in a theater. Like, that was surreal. And we're both kind of looking at each other like suspiciously, where I'm like coming to the realization, I'm like, oh my God, she's had a dick in her mouth. And my mom was looking at me like, he knows what a blowjob is. I don't like this either. Like, you're 10. I'm like, you're my mom. This is weird. But eventually we got past it. And then over the years, I sort of watched them when I watched them. I would say Clerks, as part of the original PodAskew series, Clerks was probably the last one apart from Clerks 2. I think I saw Clerks 2 in theaters, but then I saw Clerks like probably a year or two before that.
Well, okay.
So I was sort of a late bloomer.
Right. So let's talk about how his movies are, just quickly, how they're classified. Meaning that you have what's known as the Jersey Trilogy, even though it's 6 movies. But it's,
I call it the PodAskew universe.
Right. I mean, well, and I think it had adopted that name, but originally he called it the Jersey Trilogy because originally it was Clerks, Mallrats, and Chasing Amy, and I think he planned on stopping it there. And then he ended up doing Dogma, Strike Back, and Clerks 2, and he again intended to stop it at the end of Strike Back and still did second Clerks, which I'm glad he did. But the point is, he called that the Jersey Trilogy for years. So in my heart and my mind, it's still the Jersey Trilogy up through those 6 movies.
I'm looking at as now like the PodAskew universe, Phase 1 and Phase 2, like Marvel.
Yeah,
like
but what's Phase 2?
Phase 2 would be Dogma, Jay and Bob Strike Back, and Clerks 2.
Okay, well, no, if that's your divide, I could see that. I just didn't know. I didn't know if you were. I was afraid you were going Tusk or Red State, Tusk, and Yoga Hosers, which
No. Red State, I would say, would be like his Ant-Man.
No, actually, I think it's one of his better non-Askewniverse movies.
I'm not saying it's not bad. I'm saying it's just. Well, I mean, Ant-Man is probably a bad choice, but I think Red State is probably his best overall film.
Yeah, you said that.
In terms of comedies, I think the funniest one for me personally is probably Jam Butcher.
Wait a second here. Are you guys knocking down Ant-Man? Because I love Ant-Man, okay?
That would be the one from the MCU that you like. I'm serious. Because I know your issues with the other movies, and that would be the one that you like.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I love a lot of them. But Ant-Man is absolutely hilarious. It's like the layman, how they would normally react if thrust into this situation. And I'm like, finally, someone who's like normal.
I
wouldn't say normal, but okay.
Well, normal, I see what you're saying. Normal in the sense of like, he's like, I'm really small now. Why is this happening?
Oh, well,
Whereas like with Tony Stark, he's like, I'm flying in the air because I know how to do this.
Right.
Or Thor being like, I'm God of Thunder, I have lightning. Or Ant-Man, she's right. Scott Lang is kind of like, I'm in a drain. How do I get out of this drain?
Yeah, I still think the movie. I think you called it in the MCU episode the redheaded stepchild of the Marvel universe, and I think I still agree. But
so
we have to set up a challenge for ourselves. By the way, we do. We have to set up a challenge for ourselves. We have to do one whole episode where we don't reference Marvel or Star Wars because it has not happened. By my count, up to this point, I'm not sure, but I'd have to go back and listen. But as of right now, I don't think we've done one where it hasn't come up at least once.
Well, why would you want to? I mean, it's part of our current pop culture.
That's true.
I'll start talking about DC, and I'll try and do it in a positive way. So eventually, after the movies, I was going through a really bad period of my life. Not that I have ever actually had a good period of my life.
You got Steph. That's a good period. I'm sorry.
No, I'm not. You fuckers interrupted me. I was going to say I have good moments and good periods in the bad periods.
So basically, like Deadpool says, where life's a bunch of what does he say? It's a shitstorm with periodic commercial breaks of goodness or something like that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Steph, you approve, Steph?
She's silent. That's not good. Looks like you're sleeping on the deck tonight, buddy.
Oh, if you saw this room, you would be like, okay, where is he going to sleep? In the same bed because there's no more room.
That's why I said the deck, because I figured you'd be outside.
Oh, the deck. I didn't hear the deck part. So I was going through a bad period because I wasn't with Stephanie. There, you happy?
Yes.
And I was depressed and I was going through anxiety bullshit. And in order to cope with getting to sleep, I had discovered his videos on YouTube. And I had never listened to a single podcast and I was not like savvy or even interested. And then I was listening to his Fat Man on Batman interviews that he was doing with Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy and other random fucking people. And then, so that was my way of like relaxing, was just like go to sleep, draining the battery on my fucking phone by having it plugged in and having the like YouTube app open. And like I would touch my phone the next day and be like fucking like on fire type of like feeling.
So wait, let me ask you something, because you bring up something and we can, if you'd rather deep dive on it later, we can, but Fat Man on Batman specifically is taking a couple of incarnations on from where it started. Started with him just talking Batman with the occasional interview. Then it switched to, the first episode had an interview, but there's some in the middle there that don't have any interviews. And then it became nothing but interviews, but it was still Batman related. And then it kind of branched into like a co-hosting thing with him and Bernardin, which I don't have a problem with. I love Mark Bernardin. He's awesome. I mean, it's a shame they weren't doing it sooner. But and then now they do this live thing all the time at the Scum and Villainy Cantina out in L.A. So which incarnation do you... Because I kind of miss the interviews. It's nothing against having Mark. Like, if the two of them were interviewing people, I'd be okay with it. But, like, I do miss having that more intimate interview scenario.
Originally, I loved the interview process because I love a good interview. Like, I'm a big fan of Inside the Actors Studio.
Yeah, I love that show. Yeah.
So, this was sort of like the Inside the Actors Studio with people that we would never see on Inside the Actors Studio.
Right.
Like Mark Hamill, or, I mean, we would get Harrison Ford, but like, and maybe we'd get like Michael Keaton or George Clooney or Christian Bale, but we would never get Kevin Conroy. So this is sort of like the geek Actors Studio. And that's I still miss that and I still enjoy that.
You know what we should do by the end of the episode? We should do the Bernard Pivot questionnaire.
Oh, that's a great fucking idea. I can bring it up.
We can find it online. But we should do it before the episode's out. That'd be fun. Anyway, so you know what? Unless you feel like there's more you specifically want to say, Rico, I'm not trying to cut you off, but we have this guest who's been sitting there quietly, patiently listening to us ramble, what she does anyway. So maybe we should let her talk. What do you think?
I think in some ways we've been doing her a favor because I know she's not thrilled about. She's excited, but she's also very apprehensive.
Well, why? She does the rants with you. This is less exposing, if you ask me.
You hear that stuff?
Well, I don't know. It depends, because I don't have the back history that you guys have with Kevin Smith, for one.
So what?
So I started with Dogma. That was my first exposure. My sister showed it to me. We laughed our heads off. And it made me really question religion because it was never really talked about in our house. Okay. So that was really my first exposure, oddly enough, of a contemplative discussion about what it is and what it means and how it impacts people and that kind of thing.
I'll tell you
even
real
though
quick.
it was in a very joking way.
Yeah, so I'll tell you real quick. When I saw Dogma the first time, I was with a friend who is an atheist, and I had been questioning my religion, and we were in a theater full of people, surprisingly for a Kev movie, let's just be real, and we were laughing our asses off at parts of the movie where people were just silent. Like, we were the only two motherfuckers laughing in the entire theater. And I'll never forget that, because we were getting looks. Like, Rico, one episode you mentioned yelling out "holy fuck" at Star Wars and parents looking at you because there were kids. We were getting that kind of looks, even though we weren't yelling "holy fuck." So it was that. But anyway, Steph, please continue.
No, it wasn't anything like that. We watched it at home. We were borrowing it from, like, some other friend had it on, I think, VHS at the time. And then I saw Mallrats on my own, which I found actually pretty entertaining. It was fun because I also led a somewhat sheltered life. Like, I always wanted to know what it would have been like to be a mall rat, to always be out with friends, to not be supervised with parents all the time. And so that, in its own way, was also very entertaining to me. And then,
but then you end up on some
later,
shitty game show.
I saw...
Then you end up on some shitty game show.
Right. No, and then years and years and years, I did see Chasing Amy, which I had forgotten that I had seen it. And then Rico re-exposed it to me, and it was like seeing it completely new, because I literally forgot, like, how it ended. I forgot everything about it. And I have a tendency to do that. So then we rewatched Chasing Amy, and then I had my very first exposure of Clerks, Clerks 2, and Jane Silent Bob, and all of that. Basically, the two parts, the Jersey trilogy that you guys have been talking about. I have not seen any of the extended stuff that he's done.
Oh, I thought you showed her that stuff, Rico.
I had not showed her Tusk or Yoga Hosers or Red State. I want to watch Red State with her. I think that'll probably be our next Kevin Smith film. But she did bring Mallrats, and I'm kind of like on the fence of whether I want to rewatch it.
Why?
Well,
I'm just
let's
curious.
rewatch it before we had this discussion, so then you don't have to worry about it.
She wanted to do it. She wanted to specifically do it for homework relation, like so she could talk about it for this. And I was open to it. I just was like, I don't really want to watch it right now. Because I think it's my least favorite of his original ones. It's just to me. I would call that the Fredo of his movies.
I don't know about all that, but
of his Jersey movies.
No. I know what you were getting at, but I still don't know if I agree.
Well, you and I also have very differing opinions of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Like, I love it because it was my first introduction.
True.
Whereas for you, it's like this is just the most toilet humor filled one. Like, it's not even witty.
It was also the campiest. Like, I do enjoy the movie. I do like the movie, but I feel like especially because he had intended to end the universe with that movie, that he just crammed it with every View Askew joke he could get into it to close off the story, and then he ended up not closing off the story, which I don't have a problem with, but because of that, it is very forced.
And I see that. And Steph, I don't think, enjoyed it either. I think she looked like, as I was gut-busting laughing, I'm looking at her like, isn't this shit funny? She's just kind of like, not really.
Okay, so real quick, to our listeners, a little look behind the curtain. When we do this show, I'm sure you know we do it by Skype, but we do it by visual Skype so Rico and I can see each other. Steph is joining us on that. Steph, if you're going to agree with him, shaking your head or nodding your head doesn't work in an audio medium. Just saying.
Hey, I was just letting him talk.
Okay. You can interrupt him, because if you don't, he'll talk the whole 4 fucking hours.
Well, then let me finish my exposure of Kevin Smith.
Yeah, Rico, let her finish.
You guys were already going off on talking about the movies, and I'm like, hey, wait, I'm not done. So I had past boyfriends who would listen to his audio, his podcasts, and to use that to fall asleep, much like how Rico had used it on his YouTube to fall asleep. So I had heard some of his podcasting on my, like with my boyfriends.
In the background.
It's not like I was paying attention and listening in and
right.
being interactive with and following them. I always just got spot here or there, like exposure. So that's my extent of having Kevin Smith in my life.
Okay, and then I think that can be a good thing sometimes, because Rico, you and I, we, jumped in feet first, and we're deep. To use a Kev term, we're neck, chest, and face all over that. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Steph.
We
go ahead.
We dove into it, and I think she sort of got hornswoggled into becoming a fan.
Yeah,
hey, that's not true. I wasn't like pulled in and like, you're gonna like this or else,
I think you like it. I think you now like it more, for two reasons. I think you like it more because it is genuinely funny, and Kevin is genuinely funny. I also think you like it because you started liking it because I liked it.
No.
Okay, well, then I'm wrong.
You are incorrect, sir.
No, I really always enjoyed Kevin Smith. I just didn't have a lot of exposure.
Okay.
Like, I didn't purposely seek him out and put him into my everyday life. Not that I didn't find him funny.
You don't view him as much of like a religion as CJ and I did and do.
That's fair.
That is accurate. That is 100% accurate. But it's not that I don't enjoy him. And I do enjoy the movies, and I do enjoy listening to his podcast. But before I had you guys in my life, I didn't actively seek him out and listen to him every other day. Like,
so you were sort of just not a Catholic. You were like a Protestant. Now we've converted you to the Catholicism.
Well, and I'll add real quick, Steph, that a third reason you might like him more now is that eventually it may help pay the bills. So,
yeah, I need to get that. I need to get those bills for my sex change operation.
Okay, are you announcing something?
Yes, I'm trying to become a dolphin.
Aha. Well, there are detailed instructions online on how to fuck a dolphin, so, we can get you those.
Hold on. Why do you know there are detailed instructions on how to fuck a dolphin?
Because I know someone who knows that.
No, my second question first. Do you fuck in the blowhole?
Oh, I've never read them, so I don't know. But
you know about them.
I know they exist, yes. And I've seen that they exist, but I never read them in detail.
Sure.
Okay.
For the record, I have no interest in fucking a dolphin nor turning into one. I was just making a joke going, hey, all you dolphin lovers out there.
Yeah, you're gonna peed on our ass.
I like my tuna dolphin free, okay?
Okay. So Steph, have we covered your exposure and interest in Kev?
Yeah, seriously, are you done talking? We let you talk for like ever. Can we talk for like a second? Like you just go on and on and on. Like I love you. I love hearing the sound of your voice, but like, come on, it's you're a guest for Christ's sake.
Really?
Yes, we've covered my exposure of Kevin Smith, my background.
One question though. How do you feel about him? Do you feel not just his filmography, but how do you feel about him as a man? How do you feel about him as a filmmaker? How do you feel about as an influence to me and CJ? Like there are positive and negative influences in people's lives that you can just be like not to fucking beat a dead horse, but like I'm a big fucking fan of Sinatra. You're not overly fond of that. Do you look at Kevin Smith the same way as you do Sinatra for me?
No. Okay. Answering question number one, how do I see Kevin Smith as a man? I think he's very inspirational. He's got quite a following, and he does his best to use his position and power for bettering mankind and essentially. Like when the whole shitstorm happened with Weinstein, he did the best he could to rectify his connection, and is still doing so.
Absolutely.
And when he had his heart attack, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, this has been a real eye opener. Hey fans, I don't want you going through what I went through, and so these are the steps I'm taking now to better myself, to lose weight, to do a better diet, to do a better this and that." And he's very open about becoming a better person, which is pretty much all I'm about as a person. Like everything that I try to do is taking a step forward on how do I do something better today? How do I better myself? How do I better someone else? How do I make an impact, an achievement, something to make the world a brighter, better place? Even if that's just telling someone that they're wearing a really beautiful blouse, or telling someone, thank you very much, genuinely, thank you very much for opening the door for me. Because it's just, you never know if that's the only thank you they've had all week, all day, ever. You never know what impact you can give to someone else. And I really appreciate him as a person, not being a celebrity conglomerate and being a person for his fans. So that's really cool. I like him as a man. As a director, I don't know why you keep asking me these questions, because I really don't know anything about directing. So I think he's fine as a director.
Well, you don't have to like him as a... But to amend Rico's question, it's not so much about direction and knowing about being a director, but especially Kev, he writes Rico, would you say 95% is a safe number of the movies he directs? Because there's been like one or two that I think he didn't write, but other than that, he writes them all.
Yeah, he's only out of all the films he's directed, he's only not written one. He's written every other movie he's done. So it really would be 90. Yeah, it'd be like 95 to 99%.
Yeah, because all right, I knew Cop Out. I thought there was another one for some reason, but whatever, that's not important. So. But do you like his movies? I mean, and you seem to. So it's not so much about his directing and knowing things about directors and that kind of stuff. But at the bottom line, you enjoy his movie, his sense of humor, and the way he tells a story via the movie medium.
Well, I've seen more than two. I saw Dogma and Mallrats on my own. But I've also seen Clerks 2, Jay and Silent Bob, and The Strike Back. So I've seen all the Jersey movies.
Right.
I haven't seen the non-Jersey ones.
Okay.
You haven't seen Mallrats?
No, I have. I've seen Mallrats.
Okay.
I just didn't. I was just wanting to rewatch it to remind myself of the plot and the characters in the story.
Oh, anyway. We can fill you in on the plot and the characters in the story. Don't worry about that.
Like, I haven't seen it since high school or before that. Like, I saw Mallrats almost immediately after I saw Dogma. I mean, it's been a while.
So basically, painted on cave walls, is that how you saw?
Ouch!
Hey, you open that door, I walk through. That's how we do things on PodAskew.
So, I am just a little bit younger than Dirt. Because my mom is old as Dirt. So, yeah, I mean, painting cave walls, we can go with that.
Well, hey, if you saw it...
CJ, by that logic, you're older than Air.
Right, and if she saw it painted on cave walls, mine were drawn in the sand with sticks. So, no big deal.
Yeah, I saw it on VHS, which still ages me, but not that much.
Well, to be fair, I think when I saw Clerks, it was on VHS. I'm pretty certain. Because the only one
you told me you saw Clerks in theaters.
No. I didn't see Clerks in theaters. The first one I saw in theaters was Dogma.
I thought you said, because we did not to
the pilot,
this, but we did a pilot, which is more or less about what we're talking about, except this version we're adding stuff to it. It was like Pilot 2.0, I guess. But I could have sworn in that episode you said that you saw the first Clerks in theaters, but you may have said that you saw Clerks and then you had a beer or something afterwards.
Yes, I did have a beer after watching the movie, but it was in my
So
house.
That was at home. Okay. I thought you would watch it in the theater and then go to a bar.
No. I don't think I was old enough to drink at the time. I had friends who were old enough to get the alcohol, but I don't think I was old enough to actually go get the beer. So I couldn't have gone out to a bar and got one if I wanted to. Yes, I'm promoting underage drinking. Everyone should have a beer. Anyway,
For Christ's sake, CJ.
Hey, look. You pride yourself on being an Italian, and if you lived in Italy, you'd be drinking wine since you were like 4, so...
That's because it's no drinking age in Italy.
Well, okay, but there's the point.
I did get drunk in Italy at 13, but that's not 4.
No, but I'm just saying. Anyway, and I wasn't saying 4 either. I just said, go have a beer. My first beer was at 6.
Tisk.
It was a mistake, but
Well, I don't condone of underage drinking to the extent that you guys are talking about having a full drink, but I was exposed to all of the different types of liquor that my parents were drinking. They would let us sample it with them.
Aha.
So the curiosity of what the hell is that was already taken care of when we were kids. Yeah. There wasn't like, I'm 16 and I'm going to have a beer because it's forbidden for me. And it's like, I've already tasted what it's like. I'm not interested. I approve of parents exposing their children to anything else that they are drinking just so they know what it is. And then the damaging effects of it being a forbidden thing and a secretive thing with your friends, it totally was negated. I didn't want to do that with my friends. I'm like, you guys are stupid. Why are you drinking this now? Like, I didn't understand it.
I think what we're all trying to say is drink, whether you're underage or not, just be safe. Do it in a safe environment.
Oh, absolutely.
We're condoning drink as much as you fucking want, as long as it's safe and you're not driving. So
I agree.
If you're 4 to 14 or whatever the fuck,
40,
drink, just be safe.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, if we're actually preaching the word of Kev, for lack of a better description, no one should drink and everyone should smoke weed. So there you go.
You would not want me to smoke weed and then be on camera or on audio, because I'd be like, I will actually fuck a dolphin right now.
Now I want that episode. I'm just saying. I'll be sober, you be high, we'll do it.
You think it's easy sober for me to like I'll be coughing the entire time and not even be aware of it.
Yes, but if it's because you've been smoking the ganj, I'm all for that. That's a different kind of coughing. Anyway,
please don't ever.
We're pissing Steph off. I can
ganj.
see the look. It's so.
Wait, okay.
Oh, who's talking?
I'm asking.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, I think I have covered the first 2 parts of that 3-part question, and I know you asked me a 4th thing, but what was the 3rd part of the question about Kevin Smith? After, how do I look at him as a director?
The other question was, has he influenced you personally?
Not to the extent that he's influenced you guys, but he has had me raise questions, especially with the dogma, and he intellectually, I have found that his humor kind of matches mine, except for the Jay and Silent Bob stuff. It doesn't match my humor at all. I don't appreciate that kind of humor.
Jay and Bob are an acquired taste. You either like them or you don't. It's really what it boils down to.
I like Silent Bob as a character. I don't like Jay.
I can see that. I mean, I don't agree, but I see it.
I don't like Jay because even though he's trying to be really protective of Silent Bob, he's really abusive.
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt. Yeah.
And I just really don't. I've been in abusive relationships, and I don't appreciate people doing that where they're a negative influence on someone else, even when they don't intend to be. It's just, I just, from personal exposure to it, I'm not cool with that.
Now,
so that's why I really don't like Jay.
I can get that, and you kind of just touched on something I was going to ask you, or bring up anyway, because I don't think he's even aware of how abusive you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not
he doesn't know that he's doing it, but he is like really negative to Silent Bob.
Right, and I kind of did that to Rico in an episode because he calls him Lunchbox a lot. And I never knew what that meant, so I called him Lunchbox on the one episode. I did apologize for it, but still, because apparently it's a fat joke. So, Steph, my question to you would be, because Rico just asked you a bunch, would be, of the ones you've seen, so we know we're right now cutting off, by my count, Cop Out, Zack and Miri, and the True North trilogy. Am I sounding about right?
Yes.
Okay. So, of the ones you've seen, which one's your favorite? Because I don't think you touched on like having a favorite.
I haven't touched on having a favorite. I would have to say probably Clerks, the first movie, with Chasing Amy as a very close second. I really enjoyed those two a lot.
Okay.
And then I would put Dogma third, and Clerks 2, then the Jay and Silence.
Silent Bob, yeah. So, real quick, that brings up another question. Sorry, Rico, I'm taking this one. Have you seen on your own, or has Rico shown you the alternate ending to Clerks? And if so, what do you think of it?
No.
Okay, so Rico, do we?
I don't think I've seen it.
Do we spoil it for her, or do you want to show it to her? Okay, we spoil it for her. All right. Rico's doing a lot of miming tonight.
Because I had the mic on.
No, I get it. For those paying attention, Rico and Steph are in very close proximity, so we're trying to eliminate the overlap vocally. So your patience as listeners to something that's not normally our normal format to a degree. Anyway, yeah, so what was I saying? Oh, so the ending to Clerks. The original ending to Clerks, and they've changed it, was... How well do you remember the movie? Because I know you said you don't remember them all that well. Do you remember Clerks well or no?
Let's see. Clerks ended with the fire.
No. Clerks 2 started with a fire. There was no... Yeah.
Clerks ended with the fiancé issue, right?
Sort of, but that's not at the end. The very end of it, I'll just tell you because it'll be easier for you. Is Clerks or Randall's out of the store, throws the "We're open" sign back at Dante, and he just goes behind the counter, puts it down, and it kind of fades to black. Or it fades. Does it fade back to the back of the store, Rico? I don't remember. No, okay.
No.
But it just fades out.
It's a quick cut.
Yeah, it's a quick cut. I thought so. Because I remember at the end of... Go ahead, Rico.
What happens is they sort of work their shit out. They apologize to each other because they had a big fight.
Right.
And then Randall, he cleans up with him, sort of like as an apology. And then he walks out. He's like, "Are you going to work tomorrow? Same time, same place, blah, blah, blah." And then Randall walks out, walks in. He's got the giant tarp, "I assure you we are open" sign, throws it at him and says, "You're closed." And then it
cuts, right? Yeah. Okay. The original ending, he throws the tarp at him. Same thing has happened, but instead of it cutting there, Dante goes back around the counter, gets behind the counter. You hear someone open the door and walk over to the counter, and it turns out to be a robber, and he shoots and kills Dante. Dead right there, and then cut. And that's the original ending of Clerks.
Yeah, he grabs some money on the register and then runs out.
Okay, yeah, right. I did forget that. But yeah, and that's it. And so Dante gets killed. And they tested that a bunch, and everyone was like, no. So they re-edited it and cut it where they cut it. Basically just cut that part off and went to black, and that's Clerks that we have now. So the original ending, and if I've heard Kevin say this, and Rico, back me up if you've heard it, he wanted the Empire ending, the ending on a down note. That was the point of ending Clerks the way that he ended it originally.
I agree, and to further that theory or that claim, he point blank talks about how, Empire was a better movie because it ends on a down note. They have a whole discussion about Star Wars.
Yep.
So he almost gave us an Easter egg for what was going to come, but ended up not happening. And fuck, man, thank fuck he didn't. Because if he had done that, it may have just closed off the whole franchise without him even being aware. But because he said, it was still open. I mean, we still would have had every other character. Jay and Silent Bob would have been the Rosencrantz and Guildenstern of the View Askew.
Right.
But there would never have been a Clerks 2. There never would have been scenes of Dante and probably Randall, because you can't have a movie just Randall or just Dante. It's got to be the two of them to, they're a comedy team. Just like no one wants to see a movie of just Jay or of just Silent Bob.
Right, and so, that's why they're not making Clerks 3, because Jeff Anderson jumped out. Which
I'm pissed about, because it took a lot of convincing to get Jeff Anderson to be on board for Clerks 2. And then he loved it overall. He went back into the groove. He knew he was off book by the second day. And that made every other actor, including Rosario Dawson and whoever else was someone else in that movie, they were all like, "Oh shit, we have to step up our game. This is Jeff's already off book." So I don't understand why he is so adamant about not doing another one, especially since this is supposed to be the actual ending, and whereas this is going to be about him primarily. It's going to be his story.
Well,
now you can't do it with fucking Elias, the fucking, Christian Lord of the Rings geek, It just doesn't, no one wants to fucking see Dante and Elias.
Well, and my theory would be that he, the actor, is not comfortable carrying the movie, even though he has in the last two, but he hasn't done it as the lead. Dante's always kind of been the lead, and he's right there, but Dante's the lead. The way Kev talks about it makes it sound like that Randall would be the lead, and Dante would be the supporting role in this one.
I would argue that Clerks 2, even though the central story is about Dante, that Randall is the lead.
I would too, but with it not written.
Yeah, I totally agree with that one.
Yeah, but the way that it's written, it doesn't. I'm not getting my point across right, and I apologize, but it's not written in a way that it's a lead. The way that it got made, it is, and so it might be more frightening to Jeff Anderson to read it as a lead and go, I've got to carry this movie, whereas with Clerks 2, to your point, he carried it just by nature. Like, it wasn't, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
right, he carried it because he was the dominating friend. Even though the story was all about Dante, the written down story, Randall's character is very manipulative on Dante.
Exactly.
And so he is the dominating half of the friendship.
But not in that way.
He just naturally took over the movie. Like,
right, but not in the way that you don't like what Jay does to Bob, because it's a different dynamic. Would you agree?
It is a different dynamic, but it's to a different degree, but it's the same. It's the same that Randall is very manipulative.
Okay, that's fair.
I think that as a person, Randall is very selfish, and he gets away with shit, which bothers me because I'm a very selfless person.
Okay,
and so, but I understand those kinds of friendships, and I've seen my sister have them, and my cousin has them, and it's like I get it. I mean, when you've known each other for your entire life, essentially.
Yeah.
There's no walking away from that. Not really. There are those friendships. My cousin has a group of 5 people, and there's one who's the super geek, one who's the somewhat normal guy, one who's the absolute asshole that everyone wants out of the group, but they will never kick him out because they've known each other since they were 5, and one who's kind of the slow one. Then there's my cousin. It's like the 5 guys that just always hang out together.
Steph, which one are you?
I would ask you though, Steph, and I think this is a valid question, is because I don't disagree with your point, but at the same time, I take you to the jail scene at the end of Clerks 2, where he's basically telling him, I need you. You're my best friend. I love you. So that is very the other side of the coin, if you will, where you don't get that with Jay and Bob very often, if at all. So,
yeah, that's why I said that it's a different degree of him being the jerk of the friendship.
But I would almost
he doesn't
argue.
I don't think he does it intentionally either.
Well, I would argue that
there are certain things that he does, like when he goes on his friend, when they were talking in the car. Please complete the scene for me. When they're talking in the car about, what's the topic?
when the pickle fucker part, when they're coming back from the go-kart races? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, they're talking about...
He goads him into confessing something. He's like, yeah, no, I would never have done that. And it's like, what the fuck?
Oh, you're talking about the first one. The first movie where he's talking about... I'm not sure which one she's talking about.
I know what she's doing. She's talking about the first one where they are on their way to the funeral.
Yeah, okay.
And he talks about how he tries to suck his own dick.
Yep.
And how his cousin did that, and how he's like, I never did that.
Well, right. Yeah.
But for a split second, I thought, Steph, you were about to reference, there's a short that Kevin made with Dante and Randall that was a short, and it was also a deleted scene from Clerks 2, which was Same exact type of conversation, not the exact plot of the conversation, but the same thing. Where he's talking about it's called the flying car. CJ, you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't think I know this. Believe it or not,
you don't know this. So there's a whole bit that Kevin wrote and had Jeff and Brian O'Halloran and Jeff Henderson redoing their Dante and Randall roles, and they're in the car and they're arguing about whether the flying car would actually be a legit good thing or would it be a legit bad thing. And it's a 9-minute thing, and it's the exact same thing where Randall. So Dante's like, fine, I'll get the fucking flying car. Jesus, are you happy? And then Randall's like, I don't care. I don't want the flying car.
Yeah, that sounds like those two.
Oh, we all gotta find that clip. CJ, you especially have got to find that clip.
I wonder
it's just called the flying car.
I wonder if it's on one of the special features I have, because I have all kinds of bonus editions for all those movies, so it could be on.
Well, it's definitely on YouTube.
Okay, well, I'll find it there. So yeah, I was just wondering because.
Did that answer your question? I don't know if I answered the question.
No, absolutely. Look, this is not a quiz show. There's no right or wrong answer here. And if the conversation spins off, then fan-fucking-tastic. You would think you know this. You listen to the shows we do.
For $1 million.
Yeah, there you go.
What's your final answer?
Oh, God. Regis is here.
No. That's a reference to Hole in the Head.
It's also Regis. It's a
it was an alcohol.
Okay. Oh, so you know what? That you brought up that short, Rico, and it made me think of something I wanted to ask. I'm sure you're familiar with, but not sure Steph's familiar with. There was a very, very, very short-lived Clerks cartoon, and I'm wondering if you've seen that.
Are you asking if I've seen it?
I'm assuming you have. I was more to Steph, but yeah, it's open to you too.
No, I haven't seen it. No.
Oh.
I own it. I own it on VHS. I own the Clerks cartoon TV series. It's called the Lost Episodes or something. And I have that somewhere
Clerks
on VHS.
Uncensored, I think is what it's called.
Uncensored, yeah. Clerks Uncensored. I might even have it around here somewhere. Anyways.
Yeah, it's fun and.
Well, we never talked about this in the pilot, so actually, I watched it as I was sort of really obsessing over Kevin's movies, so pre-podcast, but still very much into his movies.
Sure.
And I was really disappointed. I was just not as entertained. I also thought that, he obviously was making it more kid friendly.
Well, not just
I thought that was because Chainsaw and Bob originally are drug dealers, but in the cartoon, they're just they're just pulling shenanigans. They're not dealers of any kind.
But you gotta figure it's prime time on ABC. It was at 8:00 at night on ABC on a Monday or something. It's not conducive to the normal Clerks material, so they had to I want to say dumb it down, but I don't think that's the right way to put it, but they had to change it to make it fit, which is why recently he had interviewed on Smodcast. What the fuck is that guy's name? The guy that created Rick and Morty. Do you know that guy? It's Dan something.
I don't know his name. Dan something.
Yeah, he was interviewing him because Rick and Morty got another season. I forget what number it's on, but it wasn't supposed to have it. And then 5, is it? Okay.
I think
they weren't supposed to have it, and then it got picked up. There was this push from, I don't know if it was from the audience or from the guy who created it, but there was this campaign to get it up, and it's going to happen now. And so Kev interviewed him about what happened. Now, I haven't listened to the interview because honestly, I don't like the guy that did Rick and Morty, so I don't want to listen to it. But when he announced it on Twitter, I sent a reply to that tweet going Kev, more importantly, talk to him about getting Clerks Uncensored back. Put that on Netflix or Showtime or one of those channels. Because Adult Swim on Cartoon Network would be a perfect spot for that if it's not going to be on, like, you know, a streaming service or a premium channel, because you can get away with a lot more. May not be full on, you know, Clerks level, but you could get away with Jay and Bob being drug dealers. Absolutely. So
I think that's what I would prefer more. I would prefer it if it was more closer to the actual source, because it just came off like also came off very, I mean, there's no other way of saying it. It came off very, very cartoony. Well, but cartoony in the sense of like wasn't like they had Judge Reinhold. I mean, the amazing thing is they had a bunch of like guest stars supplying voices and shit. Like Judge Reinhold from Beverly Hills Cop played a judge named Judge Reinhold. And then like Shaq showed up, like, but they kept doing, if I remember, because it's been years since I've seen it, they kept doing this cutaway. It was almost like a precursor to like Family Guy or something in a weird way. But they kept doing a gag that kept repeating, and it was like Shaq kept coming around, or Alec Baldwin or something kept coming around, and
look, episode 2 was a clip show of the first episode. Like, that was, to me, that was awesome. I loved it. It made me laugh out loud. Like, when was the last time you watched it?
Oh, it's been years. It's probably been like 5 to 8 years.
I would recommend having a different perspective on Kev that I know you have. I mean, not that you didn't like him before, but obviously it's intensified, right, over the last 5 to 8 years or whatever. So I recommend going back and watch it again.
Of course. I mean, I should give it. I mean, I should just watch it with Steph just to introduce it to her. That'll be my way of watching it. Be like, I'll watch it and then I'll watch it with her at the same time, so I don't have to possibly watch it again if I don't like it again.
I have $5 that says she hates it. I'm just saying right now.
I'm not going to.
That's promising.
Well,
I'm not going to take that back, because I 100% believe you would win.
Yeah, I think I've got a pretty good barometer on the things you like and don't like. Occasionally you still surprise me, but at this point I think I've got a barometer on it, and I'm pretty sure I know where you're going to fall.
I think there's a lot of pop culture references in it that she... Like, Steph, do you know who Judge Reinhold is?
No.
See, for that gag alone, like, I don't get it. And then I had to be like, okay, his name is actually Judge Reinhold.
Yeah.
And then he's playing a judge. And you're like, okay, well, I get it. That's stupid.
So, I actually have a Dante, like a little, from the Clerks cartoon. They made these little characters. And I have a Dante. I've been trying to get Jay and Bob, because those are the ones I really want. Because I love that cartoon style that they did. Like the way they did the animations with like the square fingers and shit. So,
I have a question for the both of you.
Okay.
Is there a character of the View-Askew universe that you identify with? So, CJ, you first.
Oh, Jesus, thanks.
Stephanie, you first.
I probably Dante.
Can you explain why? Can you elaborate?
Dante is a very he's as an individual, he's really a feeling person. Empathetic is the word I was trying to come up with in my head. And because of that, he has a problem being able to control his own life. And I can understand that. Like, in a way where I'm a person that will give my shirt right off my back to help other people, but I can't see that in myself. And he's like, oh, I know that I'm in love with this person and everything's great about this person, but he doesn't see that he already has someone who's perfect. Like, especially in like Clerks, the first movie.
Yeah.
It was perfect. Like, it's really strange how you can see so much insight into others, but you can't see it in yourself.
There's 1,000,000 fine women in the world. Not all of them will bring you lasagna at work.
Right. And I can see that in myself, where like I would be the one who would pick up the phone and take the extra shift, even though I'm not supposed to be in work today. And I would deal with the bullshit and like, I'd put on the smile and deal with the person who's coming in and making a riot. And I'm like, oh my God, if I was in this man's shoes, I think I would be like responding almost exactly the same way to all of this bullshit. And I can see myself in him to a certain degree. That's why I think out of all the characters that I've seen, I feel like I'm more correlating with Dante than anyone else. Are you thinking because I should someone from Chasing Amy?
No, you that's your answer. No worries.
No, I was just looking at your face, and you're like, "Well, that's not where I thought she was going to go."
No, I was actually thinking that was more thought out than I think my answer would ever have been. So now I have to come up with a better answer.
I think I would probably agree that Steph actually like supplied my answer. But I for years I've always said that I was never I was a combination of Dante and Randall because everything Steph said I identify with and agree with. Especially when like I don't like, especially with what's going on currently in my life. Like I don't really want fucking other people's drama in my life, but it ends up becoming in my life. And as much as I would love to not be a part of it, it ends up becoming a part of my life. But I also love to fuck with people, and I love to be myself. So, I mean, I definitely agree Steph is more like Dante than I am, because Steph worked with me at the video store yesterday. And she literally was not even supposed to be there.
That's funny.
And I was like, there have been many, many, many days where I have, like, just the other day, I went in just to get my check, and my boss hadn't messed around with the funds. He had to go home. So I ended up staying an extra, like, half hour on my day off to close up the store so he could fucking go and, like, so I can get paid, so I could cash my check. And I literally said it to about 4 different people that came in. I said, "Hey Rico, how are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm not even supposed to be here today."
That's funny.
But then the Randall part took over, and I was like, "What the fuck do you want?" And then, but I only do that with customers I actually can get away with that, and right. They know me well enough. But I would also say that I really identified with Holden, the Ben Affleck character in Chasing Amy. Oh, is that yours?
You've both taken my answers. It's quite comical, actually.
Well, I don't think we can take answers. We're all friends because we're similar to each other. Sure. So it would make sense if we can identify with similar people.
No, I get it. Now, you finish what you were going to say, Rico, and then I'll answer, because I definitely have different things to say, even though they're same people. So,
well, I also agree that, like, there are a lot of Kevin Smith characters that are very similar. True. There's also they're very, very, very different. But they all have similarities, which is 90% of them are all profane.
Oh, yeah.
They all are deep down good people.
Oh, yeah.
And they just sort of deal the bullshit that life throws at them. Like, as horrible as Randall can be, he's very self-aware that he comes off as a piece of shit. He says it in Clerks 2, like, come on, who the fuck would want to be my best friend?
Yep.
Like, he knows that he sucks. And that's why he loves Dante, is because Dante's the only one who can actually fucking stand him. Right. He can't stand himself. He can't be alone, which is why he's always next to him. He also has a bully complex, which is why he says it plainly to Elias, when Dante goes, you're my best friend. It's not that he wants Elias as his friend. He just needs someone around him.
Right.
So,
well, yeah.
But for Holden, I mean, we've all gone through a bad breakup, but I have gone through those situations where it's like this is not my life. There's no way that what I'm dealing with right now is not a sitcom or a trashy romance novel. Like, there's no way. Like, when I tell friends, I'm like, you won't fucking believe what happened to me tonight. They're like, I'm going to, because it's you.
Yeah, I gotcha. I got you.
So yeah, I would say, I mean, for the real basic answers, I'm every character. I'm even the rubber fucking poop monster from Dogma. But who I identify with the most is Randall, Dante, and a lot of Holden as well.
Okay. Well, I almost like that I'm going third, because feels like I can wrap
CJ, before you jump in.
Yeah.
Why do you think that you feel like you're Holden again, Rico? Why do you think you can identify with Holden?
Well, I think we would talk about that when we're going to talk about the whole chasing everything.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Jump in, CJ.
All right, so there are 3 characters I really feel like I'm a conglomerate of, like you were saying, Rico, with yours with Dante, Randall, and Holden. Now, those aren't my 3, but just there are 3. And 2 of them are the same, because I would say I'm a little bit of Dante, a little bit of Holden, but also a little bit of Banky, also from Chasing Amy. So I'll try to go through it briefly, but like Dante for me is, because I'm very self-deprecating, and he is a very self-deprecating character. He really he shits on himself quite a bit. Now, a lot of the stuff that happens to him, if you really think about it, it is self-imposed, whether it's consciously or not. He causes his own trouble for himself a lot of the time. So, and I'm known to do that.
Yeah, he does.
You know, remind me, by the way, I have a theory about Kevin and all the characters when I'm done giving my answer. So if I don't go into that, somebody stop me. But so yeah, but I mean, I've also been Dante in the sense that I've worked that job. I used to work at a bookstore for a community college, and I literally would be just leaning on the counter. Actually, it's kind of like that picture you have, Rico, for your personal profile on YouTube, where it's you just leaning on the counter, not the counter. You know, I very similarly used to just sit there like that, and you know, there were days I used to say I'm not supposed to be here, even though I was, but it just felt like I was in character. So there's that part of it for me. Holden because, well, you know what? Let me do Banky first. Banky because I've been that best friend. I've been that best friend where I've been sacrificed for the girlfriend or the relationship on more than one occasion. And so I know what it's like to be on that side of the line. I've watched it and like firsthand. And the difference between me and the only real difference between who I am and who Banky is, like, and it's funny because we were just watching Chasing Amy earlier today, Deb and I, and I feel like Banky goes out of his way to try to sabotage the relationship, where I never have done that to anyone that I knew. And we can get into it when we talk about Chasing Amy, because I think we're going to get into that movie. I get this gut feeling that's where we're going. But with Banky, like, so I get that. I get what it's like to be there. And it's this conflicting feeling of, like, jealousy and protection. You know, he's very, very protective of Holden. And maybe it's because of the point that Hooper makes, and maybe, you know, he says, that boy's in love with you in a way he ain't ready to realize yet. Now, I think that's more of a gay joke in terms of the script and the context in the movie, but there's an underlying metaphorical point to that same thing where it's, yeah, the boy loves him, but maybe...
I mean, there's an underlying truth to that statement, too.
Well,
every joke has a little bit of truth.
Right. And so that's probably a better way to put it, Steph. Thank you. You know, so there's that. And then, but on the other side of Holden's a hopeless romantic. And I am certainly that. I always have been. And, you know, if we're going to transition to a movie, I'll tell you that about 3 years ago, I knew this girl that I had known for, it's 2018. At that point, I'd known her for like 16 years and had been close with her for 12 of those 16 years, like super close. But always watched her with other people.
Jesus.
And even attended her wedding. And the marriage fell apart, and we were still close. And I had developed feelings over the years, like strong feelings, and came to realize, as her marriage was ending, I was realizing how strong those feelings were. So I took a stab at it, And, I mean, I didn't do anything aggressive or Me Too worthy or anything like that. I just expressed how I felt. But the way I did it, good, bad, or different, is I took the monologue from Chasing Amy. I found it on YouTube, the part where he's talking to Alyssa in the car, and I sent it to her.
In the car in the rain?
Yeah. And I sent it to her. And, well, let's just say it didn't work out very well. She not only told me no, but decided we could no longer be friends. And we haven't spoken since. So.
Oh,
yeah. So, yeah. That's my experience as Holden.
No disrespect to your current relationship.
Yeah.
But would you in some ways categorize this other person as your Amy?
No. I would say she's more my Alyssa than my Amy, because in the parlance of what Amy is in that story, they dated. And he got all freaked out and killed the relationship. Well, it's not even that. It's my Alyssa, but
no, I'm talking about the Amy that pertains to Silent Bob.
No, I know what you're talking about, but he dated Amy. Remember? The story is they were dating, he found out about her past, and killed the relationship. I never dated this girl.
That's true.
You know, so, but then again, Alyssa dated Holden, so it's kind of like Alyssa pre-monologue. I guess that's the best way to put it. You know.
Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense.
So, you know, but that's it. That's why my answers are Dante, Banky, and Holden.
Okay, I didn't realize we were doing a group of who do I identify with.
No, it doesn't have to.
You pick one.
No, it didn't have to be a group. But
Dante.
If you want,
so if I can add more than just Dante, it's Silent Bob.
No, you're not allowed.
It's definitely Silent Bob. I very much have been that friend and partner who just stands there, is supportive, and then every once in a while pulls that one-liner out, and it's like, "Here, let's spot check here." But I'm pretty much always that one person who's just like part of the group, will always be there. You can depend on me 100%. We'll take every blunt joke. We'll be the end of every joke. No problem. Don't give a shit. But I'm really not the animated type.
I just have one question for you, though, Steph. The only question I have in regards to that answer is, where do you get those wonderful toys?
Where do I get the wonderful toys? Oh, you mean the Pops?
Never mind. Okay. That was... Rico, I hope you got it, at least.
He's quoting... That's why I was like, oh my God, of all the fucking jokes. I got it, but Steph, he's referencing Mallrats, which is why you don't get it, because you haven't seen Mallrats for a while. It's when he pulls out the fucking bat orang thing.
No, you gotta be fucking kidding me, because that's why I wanted to rewatch the fucking movie, and I didn't, and so, yeah, I didn't get the joke, god damn it.
Fine, everything's my fucking fault.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk to you on the next episode.
I just didn't fit it in watching the movie, and I'm sorry I missed the joke, and I showed my true blonde colors.
Nah, it's okay.
No, to be fair, it's also a reference to Batman, the original '89 Tim Burton Batman. So it's a reference to a reference.
Yep. Because the Joker says that about Batman.
Like, where does he get those beautiful toys?
Mm-hmm. I think he says wonderful. Actually, I think it's a direct quote that Jay says. Except instead of him, you, it's he. Where does he? But, you know, whatever. Yeah. So, I was just referencing Chasing Amy quite a bit, and I will tell you guys that for years and years and years and years and years, until I met Deb and got into the relationship I'm in now, that was my favorite of the Jersey Trilogy movies.
Why did Debbie ruin it for you?
I don't know that she ruined it. I wouldn't say, that's not the words I would use. I see what you did there. No, but it changed my perspective on me. Like, I've always been, like I said, a hopeless romantic, and I always wanted that relationship that I actually thought they had before he found out about finger cuffs. And, well, no, but that's what spoiled the relationship. Like, I'm not making a joke or being smartass, but that's the point where the relationship kind of sours for him. And I'd always wanted that relationship, that level of love. And, I mean, I have that now with Deb, so I don't need it anymore. And I think I used to go searching for that in movies, because in a lot of movies that have that kind of trope, I've identified with them more. And High Fidelity is one of those movies I still identify with, a non-Kevin Smith movie, but because I really feel like I'm John Cusack's character, Rob. Like, I still feel like I'm not
John Cusack, actually.
No, I don't think so. Thank you.
No, but you look like John Cusack. There's something about your style. Not that you look like him, but you remind me of him, actually.
Okay, that I could see. I probably have mirrored myself after him, because I can't tell you legitimately how many times I've seen High Fidelity. I've literally lost track how many times I've watched that movie.
On a side note, I love High Fidelity, but I genuinely wish there was the exact same movie, but instead of music, it was about movies. So I could be like, this is exactly me, because I identify with that as well, but not so much on music, but exactly the same way with movies. Because I'm thinking like, oh fuck, I gotta this girl is exactly like this one scene, this one movie that I saw like 8 years ago.
I'll do you one better, Rico. I actually went as far as to do the top 5 track down at one point, and it went worse than it did in the movie. Like, it was
I was gonna
bad.
say, why would you do that to yourself?
Well, okay, that's a whole nother elongated story that's not worth doing tonight, but I'd hit a low point. And it was right before I met Deb, actually, which is kind of funny. But
so what was that one point that you wanted to make sure that we talked about?
Oh, because Kevin has said that he based Dante and Randall off him and Brian Johnson from Comic Book Man. It was always that he was Dante and Brian was Randall. But I would venture to say that even if it's on a subconscious level, that all of his characters, or at least the major ones, so we'll say Dante, Randall, J. Bob, well, not so much J and Bob, but the other characters, so Dante, Randall, Elias even to a degree, anyway, you get the point, that they are split personalities of Kev. They're like parts of him, like they're really big parts of who he is, and all those characters make him up.
Which means Pickle Fucker's a whole lot more confusing than it should be.
Well, again, I'm talking like main players, so I don't know if the Pickle Fucker applies, but...
Well, every good writer takes a bit of themselves and puts it in a character. So I could understand where Kevin is talking about how each character is a piece of him. It's just probably a piece that's exemplified.
Well, he's never said that. That's my perspective. What's that, Rico?
Which is why you should never piss off J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, right.
Which is why you should never piss off Stephen King, actually.
Yeah, that too. But I'd argue Stephen King's best stuff is his non-horror stuff, like Shawshank. But that's another conversation.
That's debatable.
Anyway, so up until recently, Chasing Amy was my favorite movie. At this point, probably Clerks 2 is where I'm at. And that's for multiple reasons. Mainly because I just think it's really funny. I like Randall more in Clerks 2 than I do in Clerks. And I like Randall in Clerks, but I like his character more. And it kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier about how he kind of naturally took over the movie. So I think that's part of where that comes from. But also, like, Dante realizing that he was settling with, what was her name? Kev's wife's, but the character. Well, anyway, the woman he was going to marry and go to... Emma, thank you.
Emma.
And what's that?
I was just repeating it.
Okay. And then he ultimately went down to and ended up with Rosario's character. So... I think
I have a quick question because I just thought of this.
Yeah.
Do you think Dante is hooking up with Emma because she's kind of a female version of Randall. Because I never made the connection because she's kind of a bully and very abusive of him, but still very loving. She obviously cares about him, but maybe that's why Randall and Emma don't get along in Clerks 2 because they're very similar. Not to mention they're both territorial over Dante. I never made this connection until just now.
I wouldn't say Emma is abusive.
What?
I wouldn't say Emma, or not Emma, but oh shit, Rosario's character. What the fuck is her name?
Oh, Rebecca.
Right,
Rebecca.
Becca. Yeah. I wouldn't say she was abusive of him. That's not how I would interpret that relationship.
No, not Becky. Emma.
Right, but you said that he likes her because she's abusive like Randall is. That's what you said. Maybe that's not what you meant, but that's what you said.
Well, I don't think he likes... I'm saying Dante and Emma, the Schwalbach character.
Right.
I'm saying that because Randall can sort of dominate over Dante the same way she does. And if you really kind of break the characters down, there's a lot of differences, but, like, they're both... I don't know. I just thought, like, maybe that's why he kind of went for her, apart from the fact that she's pretty and she was, like, sort of a cheerleader type, and he didn't have that growing up with women.
Right, but what Rico, you may not realize it, but what you said was that he went for Rosario's character because she's abusive like Randall is. That's what you said. That's what's throwing me off.
No, that's where there's a mix-up. I was saying that Dante was originally with Emma,
right?
Because she was abusive.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's possible. Yeah.
I think Dante needs someone to steer him in life and sort of dominate him. I think he thinks of himself as a dominant person, but he knows deep down that he's not.
Right.
And he needs someone like Randall or Emma, and even Becca, because Becca is his boss. And Becca is also the words of wisdom where she's just like, what the fuck are you doing with this woman? You don't want to move to Florida. You don't want to have anyone, you always want to talk about how you want someone, you want to take control of your life, but you've never had control of your life because you've always had someone talking for you and fighting your battles for you and steering your life for you.
Right.
So, but Becca, Rosario Dawson's character, is the middle ground because she'll let him flourish and be who he wants to be. But she also happened to start out as his legitimate boss.
Right.
So she'll always have that, like, ego trip over him, being like, I used to pay for your, I used to pay you for you to pay for your rent. Like, you had to flip burgers for me.
Well, I'd argue he's still living at home, but yeah, I get your point.
but I don't know if Dante's living at home. I think Randall's definitely living at home.
Oh, definitely.
But I think Dante had finally, because assumedly he'd be living with Emma.
Well, real quick, whose house they used for Randall's house in that movie, right?
Kevin Smith's original house.
Yep. So
I told that to Steph when we were watching. I'm like, Kevin Smith's house. And she just looked at me like, great, can I watch the movie?
All right.
I'm like, this is the beginning. This is how it's going to start. But look, there's a hockey stick, and there's Kevin Smith's house, and she's like, Rico, for fuck's sake, let me just watch the movie.
I could see that. That happening.
I didn't put Clerks 2 over Clerks 1, even though it was far more entertaining in some ways, because Dante and Randall never learned anything from 1 to 2.
Well, I think that was the point.
That bothered me a lot.
Well, there you go, putting too much thought into a movie again.
They're still doing the same mistakes to each other, the same problems, the same relationship, that it's like they didn't learn after they had the hash out with each other and the fight and the oh my gosh and the epiphany at the end of the movie. They didn't learn anything. It was the same shit, different day.
And you would argue that it works for Clerks because they're just 22 and stupid. They're just young and stupid.
Well, yeah, okay. I mean, they're going through the motions of life and experiencing it for the first time. But they've experienced all that bullshit, and they did it again in Clerks 2.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
So, what are your guys' favorites? Like, what's... Because I told mine, so...
Our favorite movies?
Yeah. Clerks, or not Clerks, but Kevin movies.
For like I said it before, Jay and Silent Bob is at the top of the list just because it was my introduction. And also, it's just genuinely fucking still funny for me. Still seeing Mark Hamill, as Cockknocker will always bring a smile on my face. Having those Goodwill Hunting, Ben Affleck, Matt Damon jokes thrown in was really fucking funny. So yeah, because it's kid friendly, but that's like because it's my personal favorite, but the one that impacted me the most, that is just up there, like Clerks and Chasing Amy is for Steph, it would be Jay and Silent Bob and Chasing Amy for me, because Chasing Amy is because Jay and Silent Bob is just a good fun time, but right. Chasing Amy, I would argue, is an actual fucking film.
It is the most, I would say it's the most film-like film he's made, even going outside of the Jersey movies, and because, and Steph, I know you can't comment on these as much because you haven't seen them, but even like Red State and Tusk and Yoga Hosers, they're movies. They're not, because there's and Rigo, you being the appreciator you are, I think there's a definite line between a film and a movie. And,
absolutely. And
Chasing Amy is the only one he's made that's a film, I think.
Clerks, I would say, would border it.
Yes, I could agree with you there. Yeah, because it's the only true independent movie he's made, I think.
Well, Red State was a budget of like $2 million.
Well, right, but I'm talking about you've got that hunger, you've got that lack of access to certain things. That's what I mean by that. But you're right in terms of budgeting, sure.
I mean, I agree with what you're saying. Like, look, I'm not a fan, but the best example would be Transformers movies are movies.
Yes.
Whereas I would say Schindler's List is a film.
Right. Well, even if you're not talking about Transformers, let's talk about something we do like. The MCU movies. They're movies. Yeah. We love them. They're fantastic. They're well made, but they're movies. They're not films.
Yeah.
Well, I think the big distinction that you guys are skirting around the bush about is a movie is entertaining. It's fun. It's got moments that can make you sit back and just forget about your life. But a film is impactful.
Yeah.
It affects you. It makes you think. It makes you reevaluate something about yourself or someone that you know, or just you can see a character, how they are someone that you know in your own life, or that you have felt that way, or you can see like a friend has been that way. It's something that is somehow more personal.
Right, but the only argument I would say against that stuff, because I agree with everything you've said, but the one argument I would make against it is like, there are movies that can do that. Because High Fidelity, I would not say is a film. And I don't know if you've seen it, Steph, but Rico, obviously you have. It's not a film, but that character...
I've seen it.
Oh, you have? I'm sorry, my fault.
I've seen it.
The way we were talking earlier, it didn't sound like you had. I apologize. But it doesn't strike me as a film, but yet it's impactful. At least to me it was. And maybe that's just me being me, and it's not globally impactful like a Schindler's List would be. So maybe there's that.
I mean, I've seen it, and it's fun and it's entertaining, but I think it's impactful to you because you're a romantic, just like John Cusack's character is.
And a music lover. So, yeah.
And a music lover. That I think to you is impactful. To me, it was a movie. It's fun, and I loved it, but it's like I didn't get the same reciprocal feelings from the movie that you did.
I think it also varies on every person as well. Like, right, I would say Avengers Infinity War is both a movie and a film, because that motherfucker impacted me like you wouldn't fucking believe.
Okay, yeah, I could
For
see
Stephanie, that's barely a movie.
Right, because she fucking hated it. But
much to the same degree as why
Black
I didn't
Panther.
like Clerks 2 as much. It's like nobody learns anything. It's like, gosh darn it.
To be fair, they weren't exactly expecting Thanos, but motherfucker, the gauntlet came out. The claws and the gauntlet came out.
And to your point about them not learning anything, they're not exactly geniuses, those two characters, Dante and Randall.
Which is so funny how we all identify with some of them. We're like, they're not geniuses, but that's us.
Well, that's because we were limited to a character pool. Look, another reason I would say that I relate to Banky is because if we were doing a thing and nobody knew I was part of the show, and you asked me to stand up in the middle of a crowded room and yell out, "What's a Nubian?" I would do it. So, I mean, like...
What's a Nubian?
That's
Shut
one
the fuck up.
That's one of my favorite parts of that whole movie is that sequence in the conference room where they're doing the panel.
So fucking good.
Yeah. So.
All right, Steph. I want to know why Chasing Amy is up there for Clerks. If you feel comfortable talking about it.
Yeah.
What is your Chasing Amy story? What's Chasing Stephanie?
Nicely done.
Chasing Amy, for me, is as I was watching it, I could identify a lot with actually almost every character in the film to a certain degree. As I was watching it, I was just like nodding almost the whole movie. I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, exactly. I wasn't a promiscuous type growing up. Like I didn't do the extent of what certain characters had done, but I wasn't exactly Holden either, where I was innocent to a lot of things. Like I don't know how people were reacting to each other made sense to me in the film, and I don't know how to answer your question. You got to narrow it down for me, please.
Well, there's not really, there's not a way to narrow it down. And it's stuff, there's no wrong answer. I mean, you answered the question the best you could answer it. I mean, like,
yeah,
if that's why.
Answer it with your gut reaction.
Right, absolutely. That's what this is all about. This is why we do what we do here. There's no script.
Yeah, but
no script.
That doesn't.
No, no.
What I said really didn't make any sense. Like, I don't know.
It made sense to me, and it made sense to Rico, so there you go.
I don't know.
Can I just say that I love the fact that you can talk and Rico and I can see her make faces at each other, and it's entertaining.
The one thing that I found that was refreshing in Chasing Amy, that's not really discussed in movies previous, where they are now, certain topics that were just always taboo.
Sure.
Is like the sexuality issues.
Yeah.
So, you know how she was the lesbian pool, how they were all saying, "Oh no, we've lost another one."
Yeah, you know what?
And the judgments that come from that.
I am so glad you brought that up because, like I said, Deb and I were watching it.
What were you going to say?
I'm so glad you brought that up because, like I told you earlier, Deb and I were watching this earlier today, and it was on TV, so we didn't like put it on to watch, but we were flipping through and it was on, and it turned on right at the part where Banky draws the 4-way street and puts the $100 bill in the middle. But that's not the point I want to talk about. So we're watching, and it gets to the point where she's with the lesbian friends, and they all treat her like shit because she found a man. And it's like, she's happy. Why does it fucking matter if it's a dude, a chick, or, a chicken? Who cares? Like,
and if I could jump in,
yeah.
There was a lesbian, and I don't know who the fuck, I don't know her name, but I think she's in the movie as Alyssa's bandmate who introduces her to sing on stage.
Okay.
She is like a she is or was a close friend of Kevin, and actually supplied a lot of like lesbian culture background to him as he was writing Chasing Amy, a lot of inspiration. And she actually kind of like included that scene of how there's like this reverse homophobia. Because homophobia is I'm scared of homosexuals. But if you have homosexuals afraid of straight people or judging straightness or it's heterophobia. It was such a bizarre concept in a film. And I think she was the one who I think like had to like she was like gave the seal of approval, like this needs to be in this movie because this is something that is untalked about, like that, you know, someone who is a lesbian goes by or bye and goes straight, and how her lesbian and gay friends react negatively, and it's such a fucking. That's one of the main reasons why I love that movie so much, because it's not about homophobia. It's not about, you know, a man turning a lesbian straight, which is the basic, you know, rundown, bear it down premise. You know, it's all about, whenever I recommend it at work, it is the most honest film about relationships, not just straight and gay, but bi and trans. Well, not so much trans, but about the raw deal you get of a past relationship, and how you try to dive into a new relationship and how you find out about their past. It's everything all boiled into one pot. And the fact that it was made on a budget of $250,000.
Yep.
That to me certifies it as a film. And I wanted to say this earlier. We were talking about movie versus film. A movie I would eat popcorn with, or have a snack with. Something that like you're kind of engrossed and you're eating a snack. I would not Chasing Amy. I would not snack with. I would just, because I don't want to miss anything.
Right.
Because it's all dialogue centric. And apart, I mean, if you take out all the toilet humor and dick jokes, it is still a very fucking personal and human film. And that's the point that is so different from his other films, is because this is literally the closest thing you'll get to a love letter on screen. And love letters can always deal with, I love you, but, and that there's a big but in this movie. And there's it's just a never ending of will he be happy with her? And because every movie most love movies are guy meets girl and guy have fight, girl and guy end up together at the end of the film and they live happily
Which
ever
is
after.
the thing I hated about Yes Man, if you remember, when we were talking about that several episodes back.
Right.
Rico, not to cut you off, but real quick, I'll tell you that her name is Guinevere Taylor. Or Taylor? Yeah. Hold on. Yeah.
Is it
Turner.
Genevieve or Guinevere?
Guinevere Turner is her name.
That's the Gwen Turner that he talks about in the movie.
I don't remember that.
He has a character, and I think it's the other Joey Lord Adams character in Mallrats. I think her name is Gwen Turner, and that's what I'm saying. It was sort of an homage to her.
Oh, probably. It is Gwen, but I don't know her last name. I don't know if they ever say it. If they do, I don't remember it. So I'm not arguing against that. But yeah, her name is Gwen.
To throw that in there as well, when Holden and Alyssa have that breakup outside the hockey rink, and he's confronting her past, and she's just exploding on him all over his face, neck, and chest. She says, I had a three-way with Gwen Turner and fucking blah, blah, blah.
Oh, so he's throwing some love. Yeah, no, absolutely. But Kev's known for that. He does that kind of stuff all the time. I mean, how many times Walt Flanagan's mentioned in the PodAskew universe, period? I mean, it's crazy.
Or Walt Flanagan's dog.
Or Walt Flanagan's dog, yeah. By the way, it's safe to say, of all the acting Kevin's done, which is not a lot, it's his best monologue, period, when he's in that diner.
When he's in the car.
No.
Oh, no. Oh, talking about Kevin. Okay, yeah.
His best monologue, period.
Well, it's his longest monologue, for sure.
Right, but there's a movie he's in where he's like the third on the call sheet. It's like two people and then Kev. I'd have to look it up, and I will if you want. But like, there's a movie he's in where he acts all the way through. He's not Silent Bob. It's a different character. And I would still argue that's his best acting ever. And I'm not saying that he's a bad actor, but that was just... I feel like there was heart behind that story, and Kevin's known for doing that kind of stuff, so I'm wondering if something similar was going on in his life. Actually, you being a fan of the podcast, and Steph, I know you've heard some of them, so you may have heard this one, the Emo Kev episodes from Smodcast, when he's talking about his girlfriend from high school, Kim. Is it Kim? I think. But anyway, because he says her name at one point. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm wondering if that was at least the inspiration for that monologue, if nothing else.
I would probably agree that he had gone through his Amy period around when he was like 18, 19 years old, pre-Clerks.
Yeah.
So that's probably around the same time. You know, and to be fair, when you're 18, 19 years old or a little younger or even a little older, you take relationships so much more seriously.
Yeah.
That, you know, it could have just been the story could have just been something as simple as she cheated on him. And he made this whole fucking, like, the world is over kind of thing. And look, I could speak for myself. I won't speak for you guys. I've been cheated on, and I've had fucked up relationships, and I've had all that shit. And it still hurts every single time, but I've learned to kind of been like, you know, I'll get through it. But when you're like 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, you're just like, the world is fucking over.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and I think that was...
I think I've just been old either too much or what. It wasn't like that for me. I never had a world over moment. So, I don't know. Maybe I just started dating too late. Like, I don't know.
No, well, but Steph, that's honestly, like, I would say that's a good thing because the world is over moment sucks. And I've had a couple of them. So they suck. So the fact that you've never had one, good for you. And I mean that as sincerely as I can say. Good for you. I'm glad you've never had to go through that.
Don't get me wrong. I've had heartbreak, and I've had moments where I'm like, well, is this it? Am I just destined to be an old spinster where I never really have a relationship? And I need to own my identity of this is how it's going to be. I've had that, but I've not had, like, I just wish my life was over because it's gone. Like, my life is over kind of moment.
I would argue that it's not you wish your life is over, but you just think that there's no coming back from it. You know what I mean? So
I would say it's probably a mixture of you don't know how to move forward.
Yeah.
But you don't, you know, because losing a relationship or being abused or being betrayed or being cheated on or all that shit, it takes out a chunk of your soul because it affects, well, I can only speak for myself. It makes you feel like you've been living a lie for the duration of the relationship. And you're thinking, like, it makes you feel like you almost betrayed yourself. When someone breaks up with you, it feels like you not so much wasted a year, but the whole relationship was a lie for the duration of the relationship.
Yeah.
Like, now I'm back to where I was before that. Did I learn anything? Why did this happen? Did they cheat on me because of me? Or did they cheat on me because of them? Or because of somebody else? Who am I? And what I do? And how do I move forward? Those are all thoughts that I've had from a really bad breakup. Whereas you look at yourself in the most dehumanizing way. They're just like, I don't know how to move forward. What did I do wrong? And then you go through the healing process, whatever that may be. And then you realize, as bad as the relationship was, there were good parts to it. And that's the whole point of moving forward, is you have to just think, I did everything that I felt was the responsible thing to do. And they left because of them. I may be a contributing factor, but this also varies and differs on every relationship and every breakout. But that's one of the main reasons why I identified with Chasing Amy, is because he was trying to salvage something that couldn't be salvaged.
Right.
Because and for a while he had it. For a while he was in a happy relationship with her. Like, he won. But at the same time, he was also losing probably arguably the most important relationship, which is with his best friend.
Yeah.
Which is his best friend. But even beyond that, he was forgetting who he was.
Well,
and he was trying to be something that he wasn't.
And not to mention, like I said earlier, Banky went out of his way to sabotage that thing. I mean, like...
Yeah.
But that's a whole other story, I guess. But yeah.
But did you make the connection that Banky actually is gay? Like, in the other times that he appears in the films, he's gay now?
I don't think it was ever declared. Do you know?
It was declared. Because he and Hooper...
Oh, well, you're talking... No. I'm talking about in Amy. Like, I don't think it's ever laid out that he's changed teams, for lack of a better description.
No, but they expand on it briefly in Strike Back.
No, I know that. Yeah.
Wait, wasn't that the ending? That they were like, and you're like totally gay.
I don't remember that.
Chasing Amy.
No, because he said it's something you have to come to terms with. He said, you are in love with me, you're attracted to me, but it never shows Banky acknowledging it. Yeah. He acknowledges it, but he doesn't admit it. He's very much coming to terms with it, but he's still very much in the closet. And the only way he can deal with it is by presumably slowly dating Hooper, the black guy from Chasing Amy. And you could see that that's his way of letting him be more comfortable. And they say that at the end of Strike Back, where they're walking in the theater, and he's like, that movie was so fucking gay, blah, 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 blah. And then he's like, honey, I don't hear you complain nightly.
Yep. But that's not addressed till you get to that movie, which, by the way, Kevis said that Hooper's not going to be in Reboot, which is disappointing.
Yeah, he hasn't been around. I haven't seen that actor he was in Dogma, very briefly.
Yeah, he was one of the gang members at the strip club, wasn't he?
Yeah, I would say he was the gang leader.
I think he was too. Yeah.
But other than that, because he was very integral to Chasing Amy. I mean, the three main leads are very good. Silent Bob is very pivotal. Jay is Jay, but like, there's no backbone without Hooper. You know, he's the introduction to Alyssa to Holden, and he also he's really the first one, apart from Silent Bob, to give Holden any fucking wisdom. You know, he's sort of the guru of gay.
Well, I would argue that you couldn't do some of the Hooper X jokes now that you could do then.
I don't know. Kevin did the whole porch monkey bit in Clerks 2. He probably could get away with it.
The Muslim stuff is more touchy. I mean, like it borders on, because he says, I can't ever say it right, but the typical Muslim greeting, and I'm not saying that to be ignorant, but like that's his thing. Remember when he's talking to the kid at the CD store?
Oh, Assalamu alaikum, or
that's it.
Yeah, I don't know how to do.
No, I think you
got it right.
Yeah, I think you did. I think you got it right. Seriously.
Makalaikum salam. Yeah. I think they could, because there is, despite how people are Islamophobic, there needs to be a positive character in that field. And right now, there are not many positive characters that are Muslim or even just like not Christian. And I think Kevin would probably bring him back, being like them or not, agree with them or not, they are around us, and they could still spread love and wisdom that just differs from your religion. And I think Kevin would probably, especially now that he's got another lease on life, I don't think he would be afraid of bringing that character back.
Well, okay, so there's not much information about him in IMDb. The good news is he is alive, because my fear was maybe he died from something, like, I don't know, illness or a car accident or whatever. But he is still alive. I guess he's just kind of doing his own thing, but he's still alive.
For the record, what's the actor's name?
Dwight Ewell, I guess is how you would say it. It's Ewell.
We got to give a round of applause to Dwight Ewell. He was really an unspoken highlight of the film, and because all the praise went to Jason Lee, richly deserved. Jason Lee was phenomenal in that film, especially since he's basically playing the quote unquote villain role.
Right.
But Dwight Ewell, he as Hooper X was still a highlight because he's playing two separate characters. He's playing that angry black guy motif, and he's also playing the sympathetic gay best friend.
Yeah.
And he makes a big point about that, how he has to be both roles.
The last thing he did was in 2011, and it's a movie that's not rated, so I'm almost wondering if it got released. I guess it did if it's on IMDb, but it's listed as not rated.
Well, that just means it could have been unrated.
I've just never heard of that, but you know more about movies than I do, so take your word on that.
If it was released in 2011, it means it was released. If it said not released or unreleased or TBD, which just means to be determined,
right?
Then it means it wasn't released.
Well, I guess.
But if it was just because it was just a not rated film, which means it was probably a very indie film that argued with the FCC a lot.
Okay, yeah. So either way, I guess he's just doing his own thing. But like you said, more power to him because he really is the backbone of that movie, and he really is. He like you said, he brings that movie together. Like he's the glue of that movie. Really is. So,
very much.
But yeah. So go ahead, Steph.
I think another thing that I really liked about Chasing Amy was everyone goes through that moment. At least I don't know if everyone does, but I know that I did, where you go through that moment of uncertainty of who you are and what you expect from love or companionship or intimacy, and everyone handles that differently. There are those who are the exploratory type. There are those who are conservative because they choose to be, and those who are conservative because they just don't know the difference. Mm-hmm. There are those who can't face themselves, and because of that, they are uberly aggressive against what they can't face in themselves. So, the homophobic skew that they did in the movie.
Like, thank you.
And it's, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think that's what made me see the film as a film, not a movie. It's because it preys upon everyone going through their own angle of figuring out what they need and will have in life. Like, if I could go on a little personal note here, it's like, I could, when I was growing up, I didn't know that if I wanted to stay female or if I wanted to be male. I had a gender identity issue as I was growing up. But once I hit puberty, it was closed up and easy enough for me. And I was like, okay, I know what I am and I'm fine. I'm fine being female. I'm okay. But but as I, pre-pubescent, I was very much a butch girl. I wore pants, never wore dresses unless I was forced to. I did male activities. I did everything with my dad. If you could have a stereotypical tomboy, that would be me, short of just cutting my hair short, but I always had it up in a ponytail anyway. So it's like as if I had short hair. And it was interesting to see a certain degree of that in a film, because I had never seen it before in a film. Where it's an identity issue, and though they did it through sexuality rather than gender, it still pertains.
I wonder if Kevin was writing that movie now with the mentality he had when he wrote Chasing Amy, so not having the luxury of the knowledge base that he has now, but living in the times that we live now, would it be a transgender movie versus a sexuality movie? Would he have wrote it that way?
I don't think that it would. I think he would have added an element of that in the film, but I don't think that would have been the focal point. No.
Okay, fair enough. Just curious.
I think he either would have done that, added that element of transphobia or a transgendered character. But personally, I don't. We talked about whether he would put Dwight in the film. If he was going to remake Chasing Amy now, I don't think he could. I don't think he would.
No, I don't either.
I think because that was very much the identity crisis of love that he needed when he was 20 or 25 years old. Yeah. Whereas if he did now as a married man with a father of a little girl, he's going to be like, I know the ups and downs of marriage. Like, why do I need to write about love when I know if you're lucky, you get married, and then all fighting and bullshit just becomes bullshit you get through. You know?
No, absolutely. And an interesting side note about that movie is, and Rico, you probably know this, and if you can elaborate on it, please do, because I don't have a lot of information to elaborate with. But Kev said that he had a conversation with Joey Lauren Adams, the Alyssa character, who he was dating at the time they made the movie. And when he first showed her the script for Chasing Amy, she said, this movie, if you make it, will end our relationship. And it wasn't like she was threatening to break up with him if he made the movie. She just knew there was something about the movie, and if they had made it, it was going to terminate the relationship somehow. And it did. He said that they broke up by the end of the movie, but he's never said why. And it's not our business to pry into his world, but if he's talked about it, maybe you've heard it and I haven't, but I was curious if he's ever elaborated on that.
I don't want to give an actual answer because I think I have heard him say something, but I don't know if I theorized enough and filled the blanks myself and gave my own answer and said he said it, you know? Right. So, but I think now that I said all that, take this with a grain of salt. I think he may have alluded to exactly what you're saying, which was him coming to terms with her past. Not to say the Alyssa character and Joey Lauren Adams are exactly the same, but she is one of the inspiration. That is concrete evidence that has been established.
Right. Yeah.
Whether she was the source for finger cuffs or whatever, that's a whole other topic. But I think he made that movie and he chose her for that reason because I don't know if he was aware that it would affect her. I think she looked at it as like, this is a great role. This will be great for my career. But I don't think Kevin has fully understood that this is me. I don't know. I think he wrote a story that he poured his soul out, but I don't think it's clicked that this is me and him, that he's now the holding character and I'm the Alyssa character. Right. And I think it's going to affect us when he's done directing, he watches the movie, and he's like, holy shit, what the fuck? And then he's going to have that what the fuck moment with her. And she's like, I told you this is going to fuck us up.
Right.
Like, that's my theory.
And I'm going to sound like I'm making a joke here, but I'm really not. Does that make Mosher Banky, do you think?
No.
Okay.
No. I would say probably Jason Lee is Banky.
Well, he is the character, but I'm talking about, like, in Kev's world. If you're saying he's writing a personal story, does that make Mosher the equivalent of Banky?
No, I would say that Jason Lee is the Banky because... I don't know Jason Lee very well, but I also do know that he was wrapped up in the Church of Scientology, especially around that time.
I think he's still an active member. But,
no, I think he got out of it finally.
All right, I'll look that up. Steph, you look like you were going to say something, so please.
Well, I was going to say the irony of him writing a story that is enlightening, yet he didn't see it in himself. You know, it was like the Dante of moments.
Right.
Where he wrote a story not understanding that the characters and the storyline is him, you know, in his personal life.
And that's perfectly why Dante and Kevin are the same person. While you're looking that up, CJ, I do want to talk about one more thing about how I would argue this is probably one of Affleck's best acting performance. And you and I talked a lot about this off screen and on Twitter. I would love to see another Kevin and Ben team up.
Oh, absolutely.
Of this caliber. The closest we got was Jersey Girl. And I still love Jersey Girl.
It's a good movie.
That's the closest to this caliber of J.C. Gamey. A more personal, heartfelt, raw story. Dogma is amazing, and Ben is amazing in Dogma. I mean, he's a legit great villain because he doesn't start out as the villain. You look at Matt Damon and you're like, he's the fucking villain. And then you look at Azrael, Jason Lee's character, and you're like, he's the fucking villain. And then you're like, oh shit, fucking Fleck, the fucking Affleck is the fucking villain of this whole thing. It's not a big twist, but it's such a twist where you're just like, I didn't expect that coming. And I love Ben Affleck. I've always been a big fan of Ben Affleck, not to the extent of Kevin, where he's like, oh yeah, they remade Jaws, Ben Affleck plays the shark. But, and I personally still love him as Batman. And I still want I still want that Batfleck film.
I don't think we're going to get it, but yeah, you're right.
He says he's in, but he also for a long time says I might be out.
Yeah, he's so back and forth on that. I just think that's why I think we're not going to get it. But
the rumor was Gyllenhaal was going to be the main choice for the new Batman, but now Gyllenhaal is joining the Marvelverse as Mysterio for Spider-Man.
Right, I saw that.
So now
that's going to affect anything. They cross over all the time.
She's got a point.
She does have a point, but I think they're going to be a little bit more careful now, especially with universes. Like back then when they were doing that shit, universes were not as concrete with Marvel and DC. DC's not going to, I mean, DC doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. Right now they're going to have 2 standalone Joker movies, which is like, why?
They're having 2? I heard about the one. They're having 2 now?
Yeah, they just announced this the other day, which is allegedly, if this is still happening, there's the Todd Phillips directing one, the guy who directed Hangover.
Okay.
He is doing a Joker movie that Scorsese is producing.
Okay. Is that the Leto one?
Joker, what?
Is that the one with Leto?
No, it's going to be with fucking Joaquin Phoenix, allegedly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did hear about this one. That's the one I thought they were doing, but now they're doing one with Leto, I guess.
As well.
Oh, Jesus.
That's why I was like, you can't even get the fucking Joker right. You're going to make 2 fucking movies with 2 separate actors, and you're like, let's roll the dice. I think that's their whole thing is, we're going to release 2 Joker movies. The audience is going to pick who the best one is, and we're just going to have him be now the main Joker. I'm like,
not to mention,
don't fucking do that.
The Joker, well, and I don't want to get into the whole thing, but the Joker's a better supporting character than a lead character. He should always be a supporting character. I don't think you should ever have a lead Joker movie.
Yeah, make a live action adaptation of the Killing Joke. Have him be a lead, but have him not be the lead.
Right, Batman's still the lead. Yeah,
exactly. That's what they should do. That's honestly what they should do. Is they should get Ben Affleck, put some fucking de-aging shit that Marvel does, make him look younger, get him fucking circa Chasing Amy, have him be a young 30-year-old or 28-year-old Batman in the beginning of have him make mistakes, and then have fucking Bill Skarsgård, the guy who played Pennywise in the new It movie, have him be the young Joker, because he looks a lot like Jared Leto enough it would pass. He's a good enough actor. He puts some fucking green hair shit and some white makeup. He looks more or less like Jared Leto's Joker with all the fucking tattoos and grills and
shit.
The
gangster Joker. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have at one point Jared Leto come in, take over that role, and so but whatever. The whole point I was trying to make is that we need Kev and Ben back together. This fucking breakup they've had.
Yeah, well, that's the genesis of this campaign we've been running now for however many weeks it's been of the Kevin Ben reboot.
Personally, I don't need to see Ben in another movie of Kevin's. I would like that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, this is not about. Yeah, it's not about getting him in a Kev movie. This is just about getting them to be friends again, get him talking
Well,
again.
more personally, I want that old school Fat Man on Batman interview episode we were talking about 2 hours ago, where the fuck it was, and have Kevin interview Batman.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Kev's always joked since they announced that Affleck was going to be Batman that he owns the Batcave. Or no, he owns Wayne Manor because he bought Ben's house, 15 years ago, whatever it is at this point. But that's aside. I want to get back to the Skew-niverse.
Steph looks really, confused.
No, she looks more bored than confused.
Okay, guys, what we want to talk about?
This is PodAskew. I'm starting to think she doesn't listen to the show. Really, I'm just kind of getting there.
Steph, the key word that you have to always read is askew.
No,
True.
I know you guys go and you spin off, and I do listen to you guys, but I'm here.
Well, chime in, for fuck's sake. What's that, Rico?
She's also heard this shit come out of my mouth so many fucking times. She's like, Rico, you repeat yourself normally. This is normally on the internet. Stop it.
Does she think that's going to stop because we're recording? And if she thinks that... Okay, fuck the recording. If you guys are going to stay together for any length of time, if she thinks that's going to stop...
What's this if shit?
Hey, I'm pragmatic. Okay.
You're an asshole.
You want me to throw out the jinx? Fine. When you guys get married and have family and shit, you're still going to be talking like this and teaching your kids that crap.
Who's been fucking...
Having kids and shit. What are you talking about?
See, I can't win either way here. This is not good for me.
Steph, you want to answer this question for us?
She's too busy laughing at me.
What question?
If we're getting married, having kids.
Have you asked yet? I mean, let's be fair about this. I don't see no ring on that finger.
And I am not a fan of marriage. Just the institute of marriage. It's like the last. I don't need a contract telling me that I love him, and I know and if it's all about, well, when you get married, you get tax breaks, and when you get married, they'll have the legal right to do stuff when you're hospitalized, and it's like, yeah, well, I can make him a LAR for that. I don't need tax breaks. I'm good, thanks. I don't need legal side telling me that we are partners in life for the rest of our life. Thank you very much. And children? No thanks. I am not a fan of producing a being inside of my body. It grosses me out. Power to all the women who are pro making life and making babies and having them, and I'm not against it. It's just not in my body, thanks. That's a multicellular virus that's feeding off of me and kicking my organs and shit. Fuck that. I am not a fan.
CJ, how's your wedding planning going?
Oh, just fine, thank you. Thank you.
You listeners, you can't see us right now, but CJ, I'm watching CJ, and CJ looks like he's just about to cry, and I am crying from laughing so hard.
I know who's not coming to my wedding because she's not going to want to be there, but...
No, Steph, I can speak for you on this one. You support whatever everyone else wants to do. If you want to get married, she'll be at your wedding. If you want to fucking have a kid, she'll be at your bris or whatever the fuck. But for her personally, and I understand her point of view because she and I have talked about this. For a long time, I had the same point of view of marriage that she did, which was I view it as very clinical. I view it as very business oriented and very shallow.
Archaic.
Settle down, all right? This is your first introduction. You don't want the internet to hate you immediately. You'll gradually later, but...
here's the thing. the one thing you helped me decide one definitive thing for my wedding. Traditionally, there's a part in the ceremony where they say, if anyone has any objections, please speak now. I'm going to make sure that we don't do that because you're an incredibly honest person, Steph, and I can't see you not going, wait a minute.
No. It's not like that at all.
I'm not.
Like Rico
I'm not
was
taking
saying,
any risks here. Like that's not.
Everyone has the right to express their love for someone else in the way or the way that they were brought up or the way that they feel will fulfill them. And if marriage is that step for you, where you will feel fulfilled with Deb, that you go through with it and you get the rings and you do the whole ceremony and you get the legal contracting in, and that is the next step of, yes, I have achieved this in my life. I love you forever. This is the next thing. Then I'm all for it. I will support you 1,000%. I'm not going to be standing up there saying this is archaic and I don't believe in this and why the fuck are you doing it? I'm never going to do that.
No, that's going to be at the bachelorette party.
I wouldn't do that either. That's sabotaging.
No, I'm just giving you a hard time. I know you well enough to know you wouldn't do any of those things, but it's just.
I gotta segue a little bit because I did go to. I was dating a girl at one point, and we did go to a wedding. It was out of state. We flew there. Everything. I'm not going to go through all the major details because all this shit happened. But like there was all that kind of drama where the mother of the bride did not approve of the groom and his family, and there was like a lot of like petty bullshit like back talk, and there's a lot of drinking, and there's a lot of like, we're above you, your son does not, is not even the same league as my daughter, and vice versa. And my ex and I, we were literally staying with the bride and groom as they were planning this wedding, as they're just figuring this shit out. And we literally had to come to the conclusion that that myself as well, we all talked to the fucking priest who was officiating the wedding. Or he wasn't a priest, but whoever was officiating.
Whatever he was, yeah.
And we got to the point where we said, when you get to that point where you say, anybody object of this union, speak now, forever hold your peace, we had to tell him, don't even say that. Just say, okay, these people are getting married, enough said. Shut your mouth. You have nothing to say. Mm-hmm. We're all here for this reason. And he more or less paraphrased that by saying, anybody who wants to speak and destroy this happy union that we've been spending years looking forward to, shut up. And he very pointedly looked at the mother.
Wow.
And her mother. He looked at the mother and the grandmother because they were both like, I don't approve of this. And he just like looked at them like, keep your mouth shut.
Nice.
And everyone had more or less been kind of like hearing blurbs about the drama behind the scenes. So everyone burst out laughing and just started applauding like,
that's awesome.
Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, Steph, should I tell Rico the idea that we're kicking around? I know I've shared it with you several weeks back, but should I fill him in or just let him ponder that?
You can't leave it hanging like this on him. He will pester you for the rest of your life until it's drilled out of your teeth.
Yeah, but that could be fun. I can handle that. I can take it.
No,
she can't.
What was that, Rico?
Now I know something going on. I will fucking pester her for the rest of the fucking time she's here.
Be like, What was it? What did you guys talk about? Huh? What is it? You're gonna tell me.
Oh, you're that guy.
Is it bad? Is it good? Is it bad? Oh God, just tell me. You can't do a surprise on him.
No.
Oh, you're that guy.
I'm gonna get this shit in a couple weeks because my birthday's in a couple weeks, and I know she's gonna pull that shit on me. She's like, I got you something for your birthday. I'm like, I know you did. What is it? Can I get it? What is it? Is it a video game? Are you giving me a PS4? You got me a PS4. She's like, I did not give you a PS4. I'm like, why the fuck did you give me a PS4? I want a PS4. What is it? Can you tell me now? Is it chocolate? I love chocolate. I'm just like all over the fucking place. And she's like, okay, the surprise is I'm breaking up with you because you won't fucking give you a surprise.
Well, I'm going to be that asshole. I know what she's giving you, and I'm not going to tell you either.
I fucking hate both of you.
Well, I mean, you know some of what I'm going to
I know enough to torture him by saying I know some of it.
Well, I know I'm getting late on my birthday. Does that count?
Sure, there you go.
Okay, I'll settle for that.
Okay. Everyone should have birthday sex. I'm just saying. I agree with you. That should be like a mandate.
Oh, yeah.
Can I divorce you both right now and not get married? Is that legal?
How do you divorce somebody you're not married to?
That's how much I don't want to get married to either of you right now.
Well, it's legal here. Is it legal? It's legal in California, I think.
This is called a fucking. I'm. What is it? Tell me what the fuck it is.
So, we have a friend of ours who is going through seminary school for a non-denominational church, and he, as soon as we put our announcement on Facebook that we were engaged, he immediately messaged me and asked me if he could do the wedding, and I'm like, yeah, absolutely, I could be more than glad to do that. But now that we've switched venues to Vegas, I'm not 100% certain he's going to make it. So if he can't, I actually was going to pay for you to get that Universal Life Church thing and have you do this ceremony.
Do you really want me on stage? Like, I mean, first off, I'm honored.
I really kind of do. And I've already talked to Deb, and she's on board. So this is not just me, like, being a guy. Because I brought it up to Deb, like, 3 weeks ago or whatever it was.
You don't really know what you're asking here, buddy.
Oh, no, I'm pretty sure I do. As
First
you
off,
brush
I'm
your face.
honored. You know what? If you could grow a beard this thick, you would have to brush it thick.
I'd be jealous if I could grow a beard that thick, because I can't. But anyway.
So, I'm using Stephanie's brush to brush my beard.
Ew.
Hey, all partners share shit, okay?
My hair is clean, excuse me.
I was saying that for you.
Please, CJ.
I'm not so sure about that. But anyway.
I could say something. Never mind.
No. You were starting to say something else.
First off, I'm honored. I'm honored that you thought of me in that way. I obviously, if your friend can do it, go with him. But if it falls on me, I'd be honored. I'd be more than happy to. You'd have to like send out some like fucking, when you send out the invitations, be like, by the way, our officiate has never done it before. He's also kind of an asshole, and he's very loud mouth.
Well,
so
I would help you.
Offended,
I would help you write your script. Like, I would help write what you say so that we can, temper some of that.
You know how much I love to improvise.
Yes, I do. And as long as someone like John C. Reilly's not marrying us, I'm okay with that.
Would you like to hear that, though? Like, all right, so as John C. Reilly, I'm here to officiate CJ and Debbie. So here we all are gathered. We're at a church, but it's not going to be like an amazing church because I can't afford a church. But I just want to say I'm super excited to be here, and I can't wait to be a part of this ceremony. Oh wait, I'm already doing it. So this is awesome. This is amazing. So CJ, do you? Oh, you got cold feet. He didn't know how to say anything. All right, Debbie, do you? Oh, she's not saying anything either. Well, I now pronounce you man and wife.
Oh my God.
I realize the way to doing that is to just pretend your voice is in a blender.
Okay. Anyway.
Wow. You gave the most criticism and said nothing.
Well, because I was gonna say something, and then I figured it would hurt your feelings, so I was trying not to do that.
So by saying I could have said something that will hurt your feelings, but I'm not going to say that, but I still acknowledge I could have said something that
because you commented on it. If you hadn't said anything, I wasn't going to say anything, and then we were good. But then you had to go and say something. So really, it's your fucking fault.
I thought you gave me the fucking opening to do a goddamn John C. Reilly.
Well, I did, but I didn't realize it sounded like a cracked out Muppet. So
John C. Reilly sounds like a cracked up Muppet.
He really does.
All right, fair enough.
Haven't you ever heard have you seen the trailer for Wreck-It Ralph?
Not the new one, no.
I'm gonna wreck it.
All right, fair enough.
You're so unsupportive of my craft.
We're so off the deep end at this point. Well,
hold on. Now that if your friend is unavailable, and now that you're probably having second guesses of if you want me to do it after the little bit I did, why don't you fucking hit up Kevin?
Well, he's my second choice. I just don't think he's going to do it. Because I don't think he'll do it unless you... I mean, no offense, but I think you can respect that he would be my second choice behind my friend. So you're, third, but...
I'm honored.
No, but... look, unless it's Ada Babylon or Get Old, I don't think he's going to do it. For real. I just don't think he's going to just show up and do that. So unless we're at one of those shows, I don't think he's going to do it. We're sending him an invitation. We are sending him an invitation to the wedding. So, I mean, again, I don't think he's going to show up. And I would be more surprised if he did than that he won't. But I am sending him one.
I think you probably get a strong chance if you invite Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is usually crashing weddings, so he might just be like, oh, yeah, I'll definitely go. You
sure you're not talking about Bill Murray?
No, Tom Hanks for sure. Tom Hanks loves crashing weddings.
Really? I've never heard that. I mean, that's awesome, but...
And Tom Hanks, I mean, hey, Tom Hanks is also... I mean, yeah, he's doing a lot of photos. He'll we driving by, he'll see a wedding, and he'll just jump out, run, and take a photo with the bride, then run back into his car. And they're like, what the fuck? That was Tom Hanks.
Oh, okay. That's pretty fun.
So if you just invite him and fucking... What's her name? Rita?
Rita Rudner, I think it is.
His wife, Rita Wilson.
Maybe Wilson, yeah.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done working with Spielberg for today. I'll go to Vegas.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it would be. It would. How much would you and I shit ourselves if Kevin Smith walked in that door with Schwabach?
I will purposely not wear a white suit for that reason.
Yeah. It's like Deadpool said. He had the right idea. Crazy. He wore the brown pants.
Yeah. How crazy would it be, though, if Kevin Smith and Tom Hanks both showed up and were like,
oh, my God.
I got Forrest Gump and Silent Bob. What the fuck? Who do I gush over first? Whose dick do I suck first?
Okay, so here's the... I'm not doing it this way, but this would be funny. If I send it as Kevin Smith and guest instead of Kevin and Jen, to see if he would show up with Schwabach or Jay.
I think he purposely not bring Jay to Vegas for exactly the reason you think.
No, well, I mean, they've done it. But anyway, because Schwabach's such a homebody, I don't think so. But then again, he says now that Harley's all grown up, she's all about going around traveling with him again. So...
No, you know who we should invite? We should invite Kevin and Ben.
Yeah! That'll be part of the campaign. Yeah. The Kevin Ben reboot. I'm telling you, that's the thing, people. We're going to get this to happen. I don't care if they just have lunch and nobody sees it. As long as... Because Kev will talk about it. Kev will talk about it. You know he will.
You don't want me for my impressions. You want me for those fucking random ideas I get.
It was my idea to begin with.
But I said invite them to the wedding.
Well, yeah. Okay. Fine.
Okay. Are we
I actually think Ben bought property in Vegas, recently. I think he did.
Oh, well, he was a gambler for a while. He was on poker stick and shit.
Yeah, he was also an alcoholic, and that's not telling things out of turn. Jay and him were in the same room at a thing in Malibu. He's
also currently fucking Batman. So
yes,
he's Batman. That means you'd have Batman and Fat Man at your wedding.
Do you think we could get them to do an episode? Fat Man on Batman at the wedding?
I think that would be the absolute unlikeliest of all scenarios.
Okay.
And I think also Stephanie's looking at the camera being like, I'm now realizing this will be my last episode.
It might be your last day together. She actually has that look. She's like when am I driving home again? Like, how much longer till I leave?
I think she's also thinking, like, I'm hungry.
Well,
no, I'm thinking, like, there's a time difference, and it's getting late on a work day, evening.
Pshaw. That's, whatever.
I'm, like, old, okay? Jeez.
And he's, like, older. Ha-ha.
Aha.
And I'm like, yeah.
Hey, I have said that I've been like 30 since I was 16. Like, I'm just this old lady. Okay, just deal with it.
Yeah, and I've been saying I look 45 since I was 13. I'm actually starting to look fucking 45.
Yeah.
Well, fuck you. I don't need you to agree with me. God damn it. You actually almost are 45.
No, I'm not. I haven't even broke 40 yet.
Neither is Stephanie. Hasn't even fucking hit 30, but she's been saying, she's like, I'm 30. I'm like, no, you're not.
Well, I
am this year.
What's that?
I said I am this year.
And I generally say if you're inside 3 months of your birthday, then you can round up. But that's just me.
Okay, so I'm definitely 27.
Yeah. It'll be more fun when you're 37. That's going to be a year we're going to milk.
10 years?
Oh.
What, are you planning not to talk to me in 10 years?
I just hope that by 10 years we can expand on this shit. Where pull a Kevin. I'm still this will be our fucking Smodcast, but I don't want to be like 37 and be like, all right, here's another episode of PodAskew. What on earth can we ever talk about today? We've talked about everything, fucking everything.
My money's on Marvel or Star Wars, because that seems to be where we go every fucking episode.
Oh my God.
It'll do that inevitable episode crossover with Star Wars and Marvel. Just say fuck it and join.
No, that's the one thing you said you don't want to happen, if you remember. So,
and that's why I'll sound so depressed. We're like, all right, another episode of PodAskew. It's finally happened. I said it 10 fucking years ago, and Disney just said fuck you and did it.
Well, I was just talking about, I was hoping we would still be friends 10 years from now. Even if we're not doing this show, we're still milking the fact out of year 37.
Yeah, you and I could have a falling out, and then when I turn 37, you'd be like, 37! I'm like, where the fuck have you been?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Okay.
All right, on an actual way of closing this.
Because we've been at this for a while.
Fuck you both. I'm hungry.
We went off the rail hours ago anyway, so... Actually, we went off
I want to play a video game and order a pizza. That's what I want to do.
That's what I did last night.
Did you record it?
Yum.
By the way, that's what I was starting to tell you about earlier. No, because you'll like this. There's a game, the free game I got for being a Plus member, and I never finished my thought. It's a game called XCOM 2. I don't know if you ever played the first one, because the first one was on the 3. It's a strategy war game with aliens. So you're fighting against aliens, and you've got all this advanced weaponry and whatnot. But aliens are invading the world, and you go into these different battles, and you can move certain amount of places, and you have certain weapons and whatnot. Anyway, the point is that when they put out the second one, the one I just got, you can custom create your soldiers. The first one you couldn't. You were just given soldiers, and you could use them, and that was it. This one you can custom create soldiers. So I went and made a bunch of people. Yours looks just fucking like you.
Really?
Yeah, I got but I've got the fedora and the dark sunglasses, but it's got the beard, and, the short crop hair.
Yeah. I love how you trailed up and the never mind.
Yeah. No, Dev's is the scariest one. It's a fucking mirror image. It's fucking frightening how much I got that one to look like her.
Well, at some point you should take a picture of it and send it to me so I can actually see what the fuck I look like.
You're wearing a brown fedora with sunglasses. It's,
You want a picture of your digital doppelganger?
Oh, fuck yeah. That's what we should do. You should just take those two characters, make your character and my character, and have that be the fucking logo.
Yeah, I think the game makers might have an issue with that.
Well, fuck, I'm out of ideas.
That's why we have Steph. Steph's the idea person.
Is there a way where you transfer fucking games to me?
What's that?
Is there a way for you to transfer games to me?
I don't think so, but you could
buy it, and then you'd have to buy it and like send it to me as a gift or something, right?
Right. I could do that, but you couldn't play this one anyway.
No, but if there was like a PS3 game that you got for free that you're done playing, would you be able to, like, I don't know. I'm just asking.
There's a way to do it. Yeah, there's a way to do it. When we're done recording, I'll tell you a way we could do it.
Because if you're done playing that fucking Simpsons game, I would fucking play the shit out of that.
The what game?
The Simpsons arcade game.
Oh.
Do you still have that?
Yeah. Well, even if I don't have it on my system, it's in my library, so you should be able to go get it. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So, all right, well.
Steph's just like, I love how Steph's ping pong. She's like.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Steph, thank you for joining us and putting up with this insanity for the last almost 3 hours.
Oh, yeah, no, thank you for having me on and dealing with my nonsensical answers to your legit questions.
I didn't think there was any nonsensical answers. Did you, Rico? I didn't get any of those.
No, I'll get that off camera.
Yeah, that probably is true. But for recording purposes, I didn't get that.
For this, she did a fantastic job.
I think so.
And for all you listeners, if you are curious of what Steph looks like and how she and I debate, you can check out my channel, Rico's Rants, where she and I have done a couple of reviews together, namely 3. So if you're curious of what Stephanie feels about the films Goodfellas, and that is a what type of movie, Steph?
A dick flick.
Thank you.
It's not a chick flick, it's a dick flick.
That was a genius thing, by the way. When he said that like a while back, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I actually was really, I didn't
open my mouth and you realize that was not an issue.
I was going to say, does it strike you?
But you voted me out to tell you what it was, and I was just like, all right, I'll say it. But I was just like, I don't know.
Well, if you feel like being offended by Stephanie, then you could check out that Goodfellas YouTube rant on Rico's Rants, as well as she and I talk about Halloween, the original 1978 film, as well as Star Wars The Last Jedi, which unfortunately is a film.
It's a movie.
And I will... Yeah, it's a movie. Thank you for correcting me. Fuck you for correcting me, but thank you for correcting me. I also would like to talk about how I just uploaded a new rant recently where, because I mentioned Halloween, am I still supposed to be talking?
I thought so. Yeah, I thought you were saying things. Are you done?
Yeah, so if you're curious of more video footage and audio footage, if you're curious about audio footage of me and Steph, you can check them out on Rico's Rants on YouTube. Shut up, Stephanie.
Audio footage. Oh, it's great.
All right, guys. Thank you, sir, for putting up with this. We knew it was going to be an experiment. Well, our first.
I would fall off the Grand Canyon.
But so thank you guys for listening. We do appreciate it, and we will talk to you in the next one. Bye.
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 Hiya, everyone. Stephanie here with a few thank yous and FYIs on how you can get in touch with and follow PodAskew. Oh yeah, and the guys. Let's start with a huge shout out thanks to Dubbed in English for the opening theme music, 96 Reasons. If you're trying to find them online, they've dropped off the face of the earth. Just kidding. But no, really, their music is offline now, so send an email request to podaskew@gmail.com or CJ's Twitter handle @im_blade, and he'll throw you a copy of the full song and or the whole EP, Plan 9. Also, let's give a big thanks to Samuel Lemons for our closing music theme, Askew. I encourage you to discover more of Samuel's masterfully manipulated rhythms on SoundCloud at www.soundcloud.com/Samuel-Lemons. I don't know how you're listening to this now, but you can find other PodAskew episodes in several places, starting with iTunes and Stitcher, where a quick high star rating from you goes a long way in helping us hit the top of the charts. Or you may prefer Google Play Music. Don't want to be strapped down by an app? Then find us on podcast search engine Listen Notes. Type in PodAskew, yes, that's all one word, into any of the aforementioned searches, and PodAskew will pop right up on whatever screen you're using. And of course, there's our founding site that started it all, Podcast Garden, at www.podcastgarden.com/podcast/PodAskew. By the by, if you're looking to host your own show, Podcast Garden is the ideal place for all your podcast hosting needs at a very affordable price. Now, if you want to agree with or yell at the guys directly, follow them and the show on Twitter. For the show, at PodAskew. For Rico, at RantsRico. And again, CJ is at im_Blade. Finally, let's not forget our biggest thank you is to you for listening, subscribing, rating on iTunes and Stitcher, and promoting our show by being our fans. CJ and Rico truly appreciate your time and look forward to bringing you another episode soon.
Hey, Rico. I got nothing, man.
Damn it! PodAskew. 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 PodAskew.